Chapter 722. At this moment, Kai Yun brought along his subordinates and walked to the front of Yi Hua, then said respectfully, "Your Honor, my subordinates wish to challenge you." Yi Hua slightly let go of Dong Huang Baiji, and killing intent was emitting out from his eyes. This Kai Yun has already touched my bottom line. Just now, when I was in the illusory realm, I didn't say this. Say that one more time. Yi Hua's tone was cold, and even Lai Gu and Yi Zizi who were behind him changed. Although Lai Gu did like Yu Hua a bit, but that was only a favorable impression. However, when Yu Hua touched his honor's bottom line, Lai Gu did not give his honor any face. "It is your honor that his honor took you in. Just accept it humbly." Kai Yun was completely confused and hurriedly explained, "Your Honor, I didn't go back on my words. What I meant was, let's have another spar, and no matter who wins or loses, I will fulfill my promise." Hearing Kai Yun's words, Yi Hua retracted his killing intent a little. "Let's pay our respects first." Kai Yun pursed his lips. What a petty man. He couldn't take it anymore. This subordinate is Kai Yun. We pay our respects to his honor. Kai Yun took the lead to pay his respects. However, the 5 flags at the back obeyed Kai Yun's words. They prostrated themselves on the ground and shouted, "Subordinates pay respect to the Supreme One." Comfortable. Yi Hua slightly raised his hand. "Get up." "Thank you, Your Honor." Yi Hua nodded his head. "All right, how are we going to compete?" "Lord, please follow me." Kai Yun grinned, and with a respectful expression, he led the way into the roofless great hall. However, when Yi Hua brought his wife over to take a look, he saw that there were 5 computers placed at the center of the room. Dang dang dang. "Your Honor, let's fight." Bo 5-inch Yi Hua, Yi Zizi who was standing behind them, immediately became interested. "What are we playing?" "It's League of Legends. We're 5v5, so our numbers are just right." Kai Yun waved his little hand and said excitedly. Yi Hua continued to be speechless. "Do I look so childish to you?" Bai Gu could be seen moving 5 computers over from God knows where, separating them in the middle, and plugging in the power supply and internet cable. "Your Honor, please." Kai Yun pouted his small mouth and begged. Yi Zizi wasn't weak. She had never been afraid of anyone when playing games. "Your Honor, don't be afraid, I am here." Yi Hua judged in his heart. If I were to lose, wouldn't I lose a lot of face? If he won, he wouldn't feel any sense of accomplishment. But if I don't play, it would seem like I'm very petty. "Come at me then," Yi Hua said gravely. "In any case, I have played the game before, although I wasn't very good at it." "Yi Hua, I don't know how to play." Dong Huang Baiji, who had never played before, said in a low voice while standing beside Yi Hua. Yi Zizi suggested, "Your Honor, you can bring along your wife to play the bottom lane, and leave the jungling to me." Lai Gu kept a straight face, and had a look of, I am an expert on his face, but he did not speak. However, Lai Gu had never played before, but he mustn't lose in terms of aura. Death Mage hugged onto his death scythe and stood there silently. He also had the silence of an expert. Death Mage had played the mobile version before, but he had never played the PC version before. However, it should be about the same. On Kai Yun's side, they were currently discussing tactics. "Flagmaster, that high school student seems to be very powerful. We'll target him later," Luo Ho whispered. "Lai Gu is going to be caught like a dog later on. This is the result of pretending to be an expert." Yu Hua said tenderly, "Flagmaster he is after all his honor. It is better for us to go easy on him." "What are you all talking about? Since his honor is so powerful, does he still need us to go easy on him?" Kai Yun was very tsundere. Using this chance to take revenge on his honor, this was the typical thoughts of a little girl. Just when Kai Yun and the others were discussing their strategy, Lai Gu walked over with a bottle of mineral water and said with a smile, "Yu Hua, are you thirsty? Here's some water." Yu Hua slowly raised her head and looked towards Lai Gu. "In any case, they are colleagues now. It's best for me to not make our relationship sour." "Thank you." Yu Hua took the bottle of mineral water from Lai Gu's hand. Lai Gu was very happy, and he walked back with small steps, just like a child. In actuality, Lai Gu used his body to conquer those 3 celebrities he had never dated before. However, Moonlight was different. Moonlight gave Lai Gu the feeling of first love. Seeing that Lai Gu was still interested in Yu Hua, Kai Yun asked towards Yu Hua, "Yu Hua, how do you feel about him?" "I don't feel anything," Yu Hua answered quickly and subconsciously. Luo Ho waved the folding fan in his hand and laughed. "But someone else is interested in you." Song Kong, who was sitting at the side, had a long face on his face. He seemed to be very unhappy, and this long face made him even uglier. "Yu Hua, this man is actually quite good. He seems to be quite concerned about you." Kai Yun did not give up, and tried his best to persuade her. Yue Hua seemed to understand Flagmaster's meaning. She said faintly, "If Flagmaster has the heart, Yue Hua will not say anything." "Aya, Yue Hua, look at what you're saying. Feelings can't be forced. Let's play games, play games." Kai Yun's eyes flickered. Just now, Moonlight's resentment was very high, making this Flagmaster feel very awkward, as if she was selling out her subordinates. Yu Hua pursed her lips and took a glance at Lai Gu. The latter was startled and immediately shifted his gaze away with a guilty look on his face. "Ye Hua, it seems like Lai Gu really likes that Yu Hua." Seeing Lai Gu's behavior, Dong Huang Baiji asked. Yi Hua was currently adjusting the keyboard and said faintly, "He just likes everyone that he sees." "Same as you," Dong Huang Baiji muttered. Yi Hua said lightly, "Since you said it like this, I can do it too." "Aya, I'm just joking." "No, no, no. Kiss me." "Annoying. There are so many subordinates here." "All the more reason for me to kiss you then. Hurry up, if not, I will also like everyone that I see." All right, all right, all right." The Empress was helpless. To actually use such a thing to threaten your wife, Yi Hua is probably the only one in this world who would do such a thing. As the Empress turned her head around, Yi Hua impolitely kissed onto the Empress's cherry lips. Your Honor's wife. Can we go back and kiss one more time? We are going to play games now." Yi Zizi couldn't help but remind. Dong Huang Baiji pinched her husband petulantly. Yi Hua had an indifferent look on his face. Right now, his skin had become much thicker. The first round began. Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji ran down the path, and the Empress was naturally the support. "Baiji, go and check if there is anyone in the bushes," Yi Hua ordered. Other than sleeping, a wife can also be used to check the bushes. If not, what's the point of marrying a wife? Dong Huang Baiji naturally listened to her husband and controlled Wind Lady to check the bushes. However, 5 robust men were lying in ambush within the bushes. Wind Lady moaned weakly and gave a drop of blood. The Empress was stupefied. Yi Hua let out a breath. "I knew that there was someone there. Luckily, I didn't go there." Dong Huang Baiji, Yi Zizi, Lai Gu. Chapter 723. The 3 subordinates were very curious in their hearts. Why did your wife take a liking to his honor? My God, there is actually such a thing? The Empress was obviously a bit depressed after losing a drop of blood. She couldn't help but punch her husband. "It's all your fault. You made me poke my face into the bushes." The match continued. On the other side was Luo Ho's policewoman and Yi Hua's normal A soldier. Placing the clip was also a normal operation, and the support was Sky Red's Japanese woman. "Baiji, step on that clamp." Yi Hua began ordering again. "Why? It's very dangerous." Dong Huang Baiji was confused. "What if I accidentally step on it?" Dong Huang Baiji controlled Wind Maiden to step on the clip. Gotcha! Originally, the bottom lane was going to play peacefully with Soldier A. But seeing that Wind Girl had been caught, Hino reflexively flew over. Then the policewoman reflexively hit him. Yi Hua retreated on reflex. Dong Huang Baiji. "Ah!" The Wind Lady moaned weakly. Yi Hua said, "I just knew that stepping on a clamp would cause me to die." Sure enough, that's the case. A few black lines appeared on Dong Huang Baiji's forehead. Dong Huang Baiji decided to ignore Yi Hua for now. Dong Huang Baiji, who had just been killed, became much more careful. Dong Huang Baiji hid behind Yi Hua, while Yi Hua hid behind the tower. The couple activated the tower defense mode. Yi Hua typed, "Wretched development." Right after they finished fighting, Lai Gu, who was on the top lane, was also sent to the battlefield. He was killed 3 times. Lai Gu was stupefied. Just how big of a grudge is this? Both the mid and jungler have come to capture me, and the jungler of the other party is even Moonlight. Lai Gu hurriedly typed, Yuhua, can you not capture me? No, Yuhua replied. At this time, Yi Zizi hurriedly typed, please don't send me off. The competition had already been going on for 20 minutes, and Voidless Realm was only left with Highland Tower. Lai Gu had already been sent to the other side like a dog. Baiji, insert the eye. Yi Hua said gravely and was currently attentively patching the tower. I don't have money. Selling equipment for vision. Oh. In the end, as soon as the Empress sold her equipment, she bought a bag of goblins and ran out into the wild. Ah! With a helpless groan, the Empress had once again delivered her head. Yi Zizi covered her face, the gaming experience is extremely bad. Yi Hua secretly typed, let's go and steal the dragon, then we will be able to make a comeback. This idea was not bad, and it was unanimously approved by his subordinates. The 5 of them sneaked up to the big dragon and started fighting. Baiji! Give yourself a shield, you are going to die. Yi Hua couldn't help but shout out. Just as he said that, the Empress once again let out a weak groan. She was killed by the dragon, however, due to the lack of equipment, it was very slow for South Wuxi's group to kill the dragon. South Wuxi's group also knew that his honor was stealing the dragon, and thus, all of them rushed over. And then, Voidless Realm was annihilated, and not only did Nan Wuxi obtain the kill, he even managed to snatch the dragon. Yi Hua almost vomited blood from anger, and he even had the thought of smashing his computer. Baiji! Why are you so noob? Yi Hua couldn't help but say. Empress felt wronged. I already said that I don't know how to play. Why don't you just listen to me? I died so many times because I listened to you. Just who is the noob here? The Empress was also angry. Yi Hua is too much of a bully. The 3 subordinates remained silent. His honor and his wife quarreled because they were playing a game. Yi Hua said angrily, I won't be playing with you in the next round. So be it then. Dong Huang Baiji snorted. This sentence was destined to be GG. After losing a round, Yi Hua was very unhappy, and he blamed the reason on his wife. Look at how good the support is at playing, and how many assists there are. In the second round, Yi Hua chose to go top lane with Hand of Noxus, and Dong Huang Baiji chose to go top lane with Deathmage as her support. Yi Hua snorted, without you supporting me, look at how I carry the entire game. After finished speaking, I even flashed my card. Humph! Dong Huang Baiji snorted and ignored Yi Hua. As expected, there isn't a single good man in games. Yi Hua naturally wouldn't go to the bushes, after all, his wife wasn't by his side. Thus, he waited for the soldiers to come over before rushing out. Seeing that everyone else was online, he felt at ease. Look, I will get the first kill. Yi Hua vowed. Dong Huang Baiji completely ignored him, causing Yi Hua to feel very gloomy. I must definitely get the first kill for this woman to see. Thus, Yi Hua played very aggressively, and the lane was also pushed over. Kai Yun, who was jungling, took the opportunity and went straight for the top lane. However, right at this moment, a kill came from the bottom lane. Husband, I got the first kill. Dong Huang Baiji, who was in excitement, immediately shook her husband's arm, appearing very excited. However, at this moment, Kai Yun, this blind man, came over and directly threw a Q at Yi Hua's face. Yi Hua hurriedly blinked away, but the blind man immediately kicked him and slammed the ground. Yi Hua. GG. Right now, Yi Hua's face was black. On the public chat. Your Honor, be careful. Kai Yun was very proud of himself. Yi Hua, who was flustered and exasperated, said to the Empress who was beside him, It's all your fault. You interfered with me just now. You caused me to die. Dong Huang Baiji pouted her mouth. It's clearly your fault, and you are still blaming me? Seeing that his wife wasn't speaking, Yi Hua continued to go online while feeling gloomy. This time he was much more stable, and he was able to deal the last hit in peace. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji had also gotten into the bottom lane, and her coordination with Deathmage was very good, causing the bottom lane to collapse. Meanwhile, when Yi Hua saw that his wife's battle score was actually better than his, he became even more unhappy. I am a man who is supposed to carry the entire team, and yet, I ended up becoming my wife. No. I, the Supreme Overlord, want to kill. Kill stealing. Afterward, Yihua began to shamelessly steal kills. After his wife had beaten the enemy half to death, he would flash to the guillotine. However, every time he flashed to the guillotine, he would never return. If not for Dong Huang Baiji's easy, he would probably have ended up as a GG again. In the end, Dong Huang Baiji carried the entire team, and the score became 1-1. Yihua had the most deaths in the entire team, other than those few kills that he managed to steal. Seeing that Yihua was unhappy, Dong Huang Baiji lightly held onto Yihua's hand and said tenderly, "Husband, let's go down together." No. Yihua was very tsundere. "I beg of you," Dong Huang Baiji said with a smile, as if she was coaxing her own child. Yihua pursed his lips. "Kiss me and I will promise you." Dong Huang Baiji kissed onto Yihua's cheek. "Is that okay?" "All right, I will give you one more chance." "Thank you, husband. I will continue to support you." Dong Huang Baiji said tenderly. "This is what a smart woman should be like. No matter how powerful I am still a man who is the center of everything. No wonder Yihua likes me so much." Yihua said faintly, "Forget it, I will support you." Hearing what Yihua said, Dong Huang Baiji became slightly absent-minded for a moment, then revealed out a gentle smile. "Husband, you are the best." "It's good that you know," Yihua said faintly, and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. Chapter 724. Between husband and wife, they had to tolerate and understand each other. Since the Empress was already like this, I naturally had to give her face. With the husband and wife working together, Yihua instantly killed Nan Wuxia, and Yihua became the man behind the Empress. Looking at the happy smile on his wife's face, Yihua felt that it was all worth it. Don't men have to make their women happy? The final score was locked at 31. Dong Huang Baiji was the expert with the most potential. "Husband, we won." Dong Huang Baiji hugged onto her man and gave him a kiss. Looking at how her man was silently protecting her just now, although it was just a game, Dong Huang Baiji felt very touched. "Yihua, thank you. There is no need to say such things between us." Yihua lovingly pinched onto the Empress's cheek. The Empress also wore a tender expression as she nestled in her husband's embrace, rubbing against him lightly. At this moment, Kai Yun led all of the members of Southern Wuxia and arrived before Yihua, then shouted out once again, "Subordinate congratulates your honor." Yihua nodded his head. "In the future, all of you will be my subordinates. All of your grudges will naturally be my grudges." "Thank you, your honor." Kai Yun was very excited. "If those people were still here, I will definitely take revenge for my subordinates." Five Flags behind him was also very moved. The scene of being tortured was still vivid in their minds. After being sealed for so long, they naturally harbored hatred in their hearts. This move of Yihua's could be said to have drawn the hearts of the people over to his side. In the past, Yihua would definitely not have used this move. However, the Yihua who had changed did. When it came to scheming, the Yihua himself was also an expert. In the future, you two can continue to use the identity of Nan Wuxia, and do not reveal the relationship between you two and me. Yihua didn't want others to know about this matter for the time being. Yes. Kai Yun naturally agreed unconditionally. Yihua held onto Dong Huang Baiji's small hand and stood up. "That's all for today. Wait for my orders." "Yes." This subordinate respectfully sends off his honor. Yihua and Dong Huang Baiji returned to Voidless Realm. Yi Zizi naturally returned to Qing Bar, and Death Mage definitely returned to accompany his wife. As for Lai Gu was not in a hurry to go back. Instead, he walked towards Yuhua and lightly helped her up. "Yuhua, can I add you on WeChat?" With a strange shyness, Lai Gu asked. Yuhua pursed her lips, and Kai Yun gave his subordinate a look. "Don't be a third wheel here." "All right." Yuhua was also helpless. "Right now, we are all his honor subordinates." Hearing that Yuhua agreed to it, Lai Gu hurriedly took out his phone and said, "Let me scan you." Yuehua helplessly took out her QR code. With a beep, Lai Gu finally added Yuhua's WeChat. "Then, I'll be leaving first." "Yes." "How about we go on a date tomorrow?" Lai Gu asked nervously, not knowing if Yuhua would agree to it or not. "I am so excited." I want to serve the flag master, Yu Hua said calmly. Kai Yun stretched out his head and said, I can take care of myself. Yu Hua was speechless. Lai Gu looked at Yu Hua with an expectant look. Quickly agree to it, quickly agree to it. Before Yu Hua could finish her words, Lai Gu said excitedly, all right then, I will come and pick you up tomorrow. I will be leaving first. Good night. After finished speaking, Lai Gu disappeared. I am very excited. I will go back and roll around the bed with my wife first. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Seeing that Lai Gu had disappeared, Kai Yun brought his subordinates and walked out. Yo, my Yu Hua is in love, Kai Yun teased. Flag master. Yu Hua stomped her feet on the ground, looking very girly. Kai Yun smiled slyly. Yu Hua, you better not act coquettishly in front of me in the future. You will have to act coquettishly in front of other people, haha. Yu Hua's face turned red from being teased by Kai Yun. Meanwhile, when Song Kong Hong saw how Yu Hua was acting, she felt very upset in her heart. I really want to say something, but I said it too slowly. I really want to die. Luo Ho waved his folding fan and said, Yu Hua, it is a good thing that someone is chasing after you. Giving others a chance is also giving yourself a chance. Yu Hua remained silent, then said in a low voice, I am going to rest. Flag master, you should rest early too. Yu Hua, you are not going to sleep with me today? Oh, I got it. Now that there is a man, you won't sleep with me anymore. Kai Yun was simply able to kill someone with his words. Just like the current Yu Hua, she had already fled. After a while, only Tsong Kong Hong was left in the hall. Bai Gu patted onto Tsong Kong Hong's shoulder. If I were you, I would have smashed my head into the wall and committed suicide. Tsong Kong Hong wanted to say something. Don't say anything. I know you have low self-esteem, but is Yu Hua that kind of person? Sometimes you have to be more courageous. Look at other men, they directly ask for her WeChat. You're just in a favorable position. You're too cowardly. After that, White Bones left. Tsong Kong Hong let out a deep sigh and walked to her room. However, she didn't go in. Instead, she walked to Yu Hua's room. At that moment, Yu Hua was about to go to bed and rest when she heard some movements outside. Is it Little Red? Yu Hua opened the door and said with a smile, What's the matter so late at night? Seeing Yu Hua's smile, Tsong Kong Hong became terrified again. No. Yu Hua smiled sweetly. Then rest early. Okay. Sky Red was normal only when he said one word. Seeing Yu Hua closing the door with a smile, as if she was looking forward to the date tomorrow, Tsong Kong Hong was very displeased. She had liked Yu Hua for a long time, but that high school student was dating Yu Hua the first time they met. Don't I look ugly? Could it be that this was really an era where one's face mattered? The prehistoric era is still the best. On the other side, Yi Hua brought the Empress back home. When Qingye saw that her husband had finally returned, she cried tears of joy. This caused Yi Hua to comfort Qingye for a long time. Only after agreeing to countless conditions did Qingye finally feel better. Of course, Yi Hua also had to tell Qingye about what happened. Yi Hua added oil to the details of what happened, making it seem as if Qingye had a narrow escape from death, causing Qingye's heart to ache endlessly. Qingye kept saying that she was useless and was unable to help Yi Hua. Dong Huang Baiji smiled but didn't say anything. Yi Hua is always like this. Whenever he sees an opportunity, he will lie to her. Look at Qingye, she has already been lied to by Yi Hua to the point where her face is covered with tears. Of course, rolling in the bed with Qingye was especially hard on Yi Hua, causing Yi Hua to feel great. Yi Hua shouted that Qingye had become sensible. After settling the two wives, Yi Hua hugged onto the two beauties and did not go to sleep. The current situation doesn't seem right. I, the Supreme Overlord, have no opponents again. The main reason is that the environment is different. Most people are just enjoying life, and there aren't any fights. Kangluo continent is still the best. The place is big, there are a lot of powers and there are a lot of people who are competitive. This time, should I return with a big scene, or should I return with a low profile? After pondering for a long time, Yi Hua felt that it would be better for him to return with a low profile. If he returned with a high profile, he would scare people to death. Chapter 725. People of Kangluo Continent. Wait for my arrival. Whether you live or die, it's all in your hands. Please make your choice. Don't disappoint me. The next morning, Lai Gu got up from the pile of beauties. Beside him were 3 beautiful celebrities. The scene was extremely alluring, and it was something that men yearned for. However, the scumbag Lai Gu was already used to this kind of scene. With an excited look on his face, he wore his clothes. They still noticed that after the man came back last night, he was especially excited. During the whole night, he didn't stop making love. Even now, he was still excited. Gu Gu, where are you going so early? Lai Gu asked with an amiable smile. Lai Gu, who was wearing his necktie, said with a smile, "Oh, going on a date." Date? The women on the bed were still stunned. At this moment, Wuxia and Bai Xiaojun also woke up. That word, date, had an explosive effect. Saying that he wants to go on a date with another woman in front of his wives? It must be said that Lai Gu was very daring. However, Lai Gu was just like that. He wouldn't hide it, nor would he intentionally lie to them. Look, is my necktie straightened? Lai Gu looked at his 3 wives on the bed with an excited look. However, looking at their expressions, Lai Gu was puzzled for a moment. What's going on? In Lai Gu's heart, it's very normal to have a lot of women. In the past, my female dragons are constantly changing. Who are you going to go on a date with? Wuxia asked coolly. Oh, it's that girl from Nan Wuxia. Lai Gu rubbed a handful of hair wax on his head and dressed his hair carefully. The 3 wives looked at the man dressing his hair carefully. Even when he was with them, he had never dressed like this before. Thus, they felt very uncomfortable. Lai Gu took a glance at his wives on the bed and asked curiously, "Why do you all seem unhappy?" Nonsense, if a man wants to go on a date with another woman, how can they be happy? They are not sick. Bai Xiaojun's eyes even reddened, seemingly very wronged. Wuxia grabbed onto the blanket tightly. And she was still biting her lips, resisting this kind of thing very much. After a long time, she still asked, "Did we do something wrong?" Lai Gu was really confused. "Nope, you guys are pretty good." "Then why do you still want to go on a date with another woman?" Bai Xiaojun mustered up her courage and asked, "What's the matter?" Lai Gu had a confused look on his face. The 3 wives were speechless, as if they were playing the lute to a cow. After tidying himself up, Lai Gu happily went out of the house. "I might not be able to return home tonight, so don't cook for me anymore, moi." As the door closed, Bai Xiaojun couldn't help but cry. Even the cool Wuxia cried. Let alone Ran. Ever since they got to know Lai Gu, they had been obediently being a good wife and tried their best to satisfy all of Lai Gu's needs. Lai Gu also did not disappoint them and loved them very much. I thought that I would continue living like this, but today, I actually heard that Lai Gu wanted to go on a date. Moreover, the target wasn't himself, but another woman. It was so sudden that it was a huge blow to them. Even now, they still hadn't come back to their senses. They felt that it was all fake. "Iran, what should we do?" Bai Xiaojun cried and asked Iran. After all, Iran was the big sister among them. He still didn't know what to do, and his heart was in a mess. Lai Gu was completely unaware of his wife's current state. At this moment, he had already arrived at Nanwiki. After taking out his WeChat, his profile picture was actually a dog. "Yuhua, I'm here to pick you up." Heart sign. After sending the message, Lai Gu stood outside of the palace and waited. From time to time, he would breathe in and smell the air. After that, he took out a mirror and looked at himself. "My hairstyle is pretty good, and I look very handsome." Not long later, Kai Yun brought his subordinates and walked out of the palace. Lai Gu saw Yuhua with a single glance. Today, Yuhua was very beautiful. She was wearing a light blue long dress, just like her attribute. That spotlessly white and flawless skin, that beautiful hair that was tied up behind her head, gave off a feeling of maturity. Her pair of clear and beautiful eyes were captivating, and her exquisite makeup was also extremely beautiful. This caused Lai Gu's little heart to thump. I really didn't expect that Yuhua would attach so much importance to this date and actually dressed up so beautifully. There's a chance. There's a chance. This morning, Yuhua was pulled up by Kai Yun early in the morning and told her to dress up properly. Yuhua had no choice but to dress up under Kai Yun's supervision until Kai Yun was satisfied. "Lai Gu, You came really early. Kai Yun laughed mischievously as he pulled Yu Hua, who was a bit shy, and walked over. Right now, Lai Gu was also a bit shy, to the point where he didn't even know what he should say. I didn't sleep well last night. What Lai Gu said was the truth. After fighting all the way till dawn, how could I sleep well? Haha, you must be thinking of my Yu Hua, right? Kai Yun winked his eyes towards Lai Gu. For the first time ever, Lai Gu's face became a bit red. When I was having sex with my wife yesterday, I indeed thought of Yu Hua. Is this the taste of love? So nervous, so excited. Yu Hua looked at Lai Gu's bashful look, and her expression changed and her face became a bit red. Kai Yun looked at the time and said, Lai Gu, today, I will hand my Yu Hua over to you. Protect her properly. If I find out that you hurt Yu Hua, I will report this to his honor. Kai Yun, you can be at ease. I guarantee that I will treat Yu Hua well. Lai Gu patted on his chest and said, That's more like it. Hurry up and go on the date. Yu Hua let out a breath and walked down the stairs. Lai Gu immediately followed after her. You! Song Kong Hong, who was standing at the back, suddenly called out. Moonlight, who was walking down the stairs, was stunned for a moment. She turned around and looked at Song Kong Hong. Little Red, what's the matter? The people of southern Wuxia only knew a little about Red Sky and Moonlight. White Bones knew the most about them. Keep it up, White Bones whispered to Cerulean Sky Hong. Kai Yun did not stop him, as if he was doing this for Blue Sky Red, forcing him to speak his mind. You! Song Kong Hong called out again. She clenched her fists and hated herself for speaking so slowly. Yu Hua was puzzled when she saw Song Kong Hong's strange expression. Lil Red, let's talk when we get back. Upon hearing this, Song Kong Hong felt like a deflated balloon, completely drained of energy. And Lai Gu didn't care too much about it. He brought along Yu Hua and disappeared from the top of the stairs, going on a date. Seeing the two of them vanish, Kai Yun sighed softly, turned around, and left. Luo Ho opened his folding fan, glanced at Sky Hong, and sighed. Kwang Sha shook his head and left. Meanwhile, White Bones scolded, You coward, serves you right to be single. Song Kong Hong stood at the same spot blankly. It was clearly a warm breeze, but right now, I feel a bone-piercing cold. Looking at the place where the two of them disappeared from, Song Kong Hong felt that his heart was in pain. In pain? Why didn't I say it just now? Why am I so stupid? Why? Chapter 726. On the streets of London, Lai Gu and Yu Hua were walking side by side. Yu Hua's beauty naturally attracted foreign men, and foreign women didn't like men like Lai Gu who had a small body. They liked strong and muscular men. Walking on the street after the rain, Lai Gu was very nervous. He didn't even know what to say. Meanwhile, Yu Hua, who was at the side, looked very calm. There wasn't any fluctuation. Looking around, Lai Gu's height was about the same as Yu Hua's. It wasn't that Yu Hua was very tall, but because Lai Gu was a high school student, he was slightly shorter than an adult man. Damn it, I am also a man who had been through hundreds of battles. Why am I speechless in front of a woman? In actuality, it was the same for the person that they liked. Some men would be shy. And for the three wives at the beginning, it was just a desire, or at that time, it was just a tool to vent, and after a long time they would develop feelings for each other. However, Yu Hua was different. That. Are you tired? 30 minutes later, Lai Gu finally spoke out. Not tired. Yu Hua said faintly. Looking at the lady's bag in Yu Hua's hand, Lai Gu thought of a question. Don't guys have to help girls carry their bags? I will carry your bag for you. Lai Gu said without any substance. No need. Yu Hua said lightly. Lai Gu felt that Yu Hua's tone seemed to be a bit unhappy. Thus, he became a bit anxious. She isn't angry, right? What should I do? I am good on the bed, but outside of the bed, I am still inferior to his honor. Should I introduce myself to her now? I am his honor's subordinate. And I know. Yu Hua's tone was still the same. I have been following his honor for almost 1,000 years. Oh. Lai Gu felt that he was going to collapse. How am I supposed to manipulate a girl like this? I only know how to force myself on her. After following his honor to this place, I already have 3 wives. Oh. Yu Hua seemed very calm. This caused Lai Gu to be stupefied. You don't mind? Lai Gu was puzzled. Is this Yuhua trying to trick me? Yuhua said lightly, your original form is a dragon. 3 should still be considered a little, right? You know about this as well. Lai Gu was shocked. I have never revealed my true form before. How did she know about this? You're also a bone dragon of the undead clan, Yuhua added. Lai Gu went into a daze for a moment. He felt that he was transparent in front of the moonlight. The two of them walked to the zebra crossing and waited for the red light. Lai Gu pouted his mouth, not knowing what else he should say. This Yuhua is so cold. Even when Xia isn't as cold as her. Along with the green light lighting up, Lai Gu suddenly grabbed onto Yuhua's wrist. This made Yuhua frown, but because it was her wrist, she didn't say anything. After crossing the zebra crossing, Lai Gu let go of Yuhua and appeared to be very calm. Actually, he was panicking. When he grabbed Yuhua's wrist just now, he felt that his heart was about to jump out. However, when he thought that Yuhua did not resist, he still felt that there was a chance. I'm sorry about yesterday's matter. I didn't injure you, right? Lai Gu began to chat awkwardly again. No, Yuhua said softly. Nothing like that. What a great blow to this king. It must be said that Yuhua was able to restrain Lai Gu in every aspect. Regardless of whether it was fighting or dating, it was still the same. Lai Gu felt that he had to change his way of talking and not chat so awkwardly anymore. Do you know, you almost scratched me to death yesterday. Yuhua didn't say anything, and a bright redness appeared on her face. It's still very painful until now. After Lai Gu finished speaking, he even paused for a while and had a gloomy look on his face. This made Yuhua laugh lightly, then said softly, isn't it because you asked for it yourself? Seeing that Yuhua was finally made to laugh by him, Lai Gu was so happy. Furthermore, his face even turned red. As expected, changing his way of talking is useful. The important thing is that the atmosphere is no longer awkward. Sometimes, when a man and a woman are dating, don't be too depressing. The topics are all brought out by the man. Don't tell me that you still want the girl to take the initiative to talk to you? Unless that girl directly fell for you, otherwise, it's impossible. Of course, the topic is also very important. It's good if it's a bit dirty. Adjusting the girl's mentality, just like what Lai Gu was doing right now, he directly made the bored Yuhua laugh. This will definitely increase the favorability of the girl. Of course, this kind of topic cannot continue on, if not, I will become an old hooligan. Although Lai Gu was originally an old hooligan. Yuhua, you look really beautiful when you smile. I am also an expert at picking up girls. Alright? Just now, I was just being humble and probing the enemy's military situation. Girls all like to hear other people's praises. If they can grab onto the opportunity, they will definitely gain more points. Just like the current Yuhua, she was a bit shy. Just look at the way she lightly flipped her hair. Thank you. Yuhua's tone also became a lot gentler. Lai Gu felt that there's a chance. There's really a chance. Do you know, actually, I didn't want to hurt you yesterday. Is that so? I see that you are rather ruthless. Yuhua's tone carried a bit of complaint, indicating that her mood was affected by Lai Gu. Lai Gu didn't show any apologetic expression and said with a smile, Yuhua, actually, your main body still has a special skill. Rebound. Lai Gu had a look of heartache. Rebound? Yuhua was puzzled. After all, she just came out from the seal not long ago, thus, she didn't know some tricks. That's right, when I hurt you, the rebound will immediately hit me. Yuhua's beautiful eyes seemed to be floating a bit, seemingly very shy. Yuhua, I didn't expect that you would be even more beautiful when you are shy. Lai Gu seized the opportunity and started flirting. This caused Yuhua's heartbeat to quicken a bit. How am I shy? Haha, you still dare to say no. You are already blushing. Lai Gu pointed at Yuhua's face and said with a smile. Actually, Lai Gu didn't really blush, but after being said by Lai Gu, Yuhua really blushed. Yuhua hammered Lai Gu unhappily. Alright, stop talking about me. Facing Yuhua's intimate action, Lai Gu was rather excited. If there is a girl that can treat you like this, it means that her heart has been stirred up by you. As long as this continues to develop, there will definitely be a chance. After all, this kind of action can at least upgrade from a stranger to a friend. Let's sit down and drink something. Seeing that the effect was more or less done, Lai Gu decided to rest for a bit before attacking again. Yuhua didn't refuse and nodded her head. In the following period of time, the two of them got to know each other, watched a movie, then went to an art exhibition, and even ate a romantic candlelight dinner. This was a dinner that Yuhua had never experienced before, thus, she felt that it was very romantic. After getting to know each other on the first day, Yuhua felt that Lai Gu was very considerate, reaching the level of meticulous care. Requesting for monthly votes, requesting for recommendation votes? Chapter 727. After dinner, the two of them took a walk beside the tame river. Because the weather was a bit cold, Lai Gu gave Yuhua a coat to wear. Although he knew that Yuhua wasn't cold, this was still a kind of concern, a kind of consideration. Yuhua didn't reject Lai Gu's kindness, and the day passed rather happily. Lai Gu even bought a bouquet of carnations and gave it to Yuhua. Yuhua didn't reject it and received the flowers from Lai Gu. It was the first time that she received flowers, and this made Yuhua have a strange feeling. After all, no one had ever given her flowers before. Yuhua was a person from the ancient era. How would the people of that era know anything about romance? Absolute strength was something that attracted the opposite sex. Even if they wanted to give flowers, they would give some high-grade techniques or weapons. Giving flowers wasn't something that a real man should do. But no matter which era it was, all girls liked romance. So when Yuhua received Lai Gu's flowers, her heartbeat quickened a bit, and the way she looked at Lai Gu also changed. Just having a good impression was already a huge improvement for Lai Gu. After all, Lai Gu wasn't good at chasing after girls, and it was already very amazing for him to be able to reach this stage. Yuhua, it's getting late, I'll send you back. Lai Gu looked at the time. It was already 9 p.m. Yuhua held onto the flowers and lightly agreed. Don't look down on this. Her tone was very gentle. Once a girl has this kind of expression, it meant that she had already placed you in her heart and was willing to listen to you. Lai Gu wasn't stupid from some details. He could tell that Yuhua's feeling towards him was getting better and better, so he should strike while the iron is hot. The two of them returned to Nan Wuxia and stood on the stairs in front of the palace. Yuhua didn't leave in a hurry, seemingly waiting for Lai Gu to speak, or to say good night. Yuhua, I'm very happy to be able to be together with you today. Lai Gu abandoned his usual attitude and said steadily. Yuhua slightly nodded her head and said softly. Thank you for accompanying me for a day. Let's go to the amusement park to play tomorrow, okay? Lai Gu invited again. He was very nervous. If Yuhua was interested in him, she would definitely agree. If not, she would probably reject him and give him a cold song. Yuhua was unfamiliar with amusement park, so she nodded her head. Okay. Lai Gu almost couldn't hold back the joy in his heart and said excitedly. Then, I'll come and pick you up tomorrow morning. And, with a trace of a smile on her face, Yuhua nodded her head. This caused Lai Gu to be dumbfounded. This is truly beautiful. Towards the girls that Lai Gu likes, all of them are the most beautiful existences, and Lai Gu was no exception. All right, good night, rest early. You too. Wah. The Moonlight Society was concerned about him. So cool. It felt so good. Lai Gu instantly disappeared from where he was, and it was unknown where he appeared, and he changed back to his original form. The gigantic dragon skeleton swayed in the air, and it even performed a moonwalk. From time to time, it would let out a dragon roar, and it was so happy that it didn't look like a dragon anymore. As for Yuhua, after seeing Lai Gu leaving, she laughed lightly and sniffed the carnation that was in her embrace. It is rather fragrant. Io, our moonlight flower is yearning for spring, Kai Yun teased as he looked at Moonlight Flower. Yuehua immediately stopped smiling and said respectfully, Flag Master. How was your date? Kai Yun looked at Moonlight, who was holding a bouquet of flowers, and asked with a smile. Judging from Moonlight's expression just now, they should have a chance. Yuehua said calmly, Yes, I'm fine. Are you all right? You have already accepted someone else's flowers. Kai Yun pouted his mouth. I'm sorry to reject. If you don't want it, then give it to me. It looks rather nice in my room. As Kai Yun spoke, he was about to take the flowers, while Yuehua subconsciously leaned back slightly. Although it was a very small action, and ordinary people wouldn't be able to see it, Kai Yun saw it. Women are all dishonest. All right, I won't tease you anymore. Now, you aren't even willing to give me a bouquet of flowers. Having a man is indeed different. Kai Yun was a bit jealous. A subordinate that is married out is like water that is splashed out. Just what happened to me just now. I even have to guard a bouquet of flowers. Did you two continue your date tomorrow? Kai Yun continued to ask. What a gossipy boss. In this aspect, Kai Yun and Yi Hua were very similar. Yu Hua nodded her head. We have an appointment. Yeah, that's great. Quickly go and rest. Maintain a good night's sleep that way. You will be beautiful. This teasing made Yu Hua speechless. Flagmaster. Rest early. Got it. Remember to dress up a bit prettier tomorrow. Yu Hua nodded her head with a slightly red face, then left. Looking at Yu Hua's leaving figure, Kai Yun retracted his smile and let out a deep sigh. Look at his honor subordinate, he hooked up with Yu Hua in just a single day, and look at that idiot Xiaofan, who has been guarding by Yu Hua's side for over 10,000 years. If you still don't make a move, Yu Hua is going to be snatched away by someone. With a gentle smile on her face, Yu Hua held onto the bouquet of flowers and walked towards her room. Meanwhile, Song Konghong was sitting on a stone bench in the garden while holding onto a piece of white paper. He knew that he wasn't good at expressing himself with words, thus, he wrote down all of his thoughts on the paper, hoping that Yu Hua would be able to accept him after seeing his confession. This garden was the path that Yu Hua had to pass by in order to go to her room. Thus, Song Konghong had been waiting here from day till night. Hearing those familiar footsteps, Song Konghong immediately became nervous. He stuffed the piece of white paper into his clothes, then stood up. However, when Song Konghong saw Yu Hua walking toward him with a bouquet of flowers and a mesmerizing smile on her face, he felt as if his heart had been slashed by a knife, and he found it hard to breathe. Yu Hua, who was holding the flowers, was very happy. This kind of happiness was rarely seen in Sky Red. At most, Yu Hua would have this kind of expression when she treated the flagmaster. I just went out for a trip today, why did it become like this? Sometimes, your giving up is helping someone else. A man should not be a coward. If you like someone, you should be bold enough to say it. Don't be like Song Konghong, only knowing regret after losing it. Regret that you did not have the courage to express it back then. Yu Hua also saw Song Konghong, who stood up. The happy smile on her face disappeared. Thinking of what happened in the morning, Yu Hua slowly walked toward Song Konghong and said with a smile, Xiao Hong, are you still awake? It would be a wonder if Sky Hong could fall asleep. Wait. Song Konghong mustered up her courage and said the first word. Moonlight could understand. She slowly sat down on the stone bench and smiled. Are you waiting for me? You seem to have something to tell me this morning. What is it? You. Song Konghong was very nervous. She wanted to tell him not to go on a date. Chapter 728. Little Red, don't worry. He's been pretty good to me. Yesterday, we fought for different masters, Yu Hua said with a smile. Her words made Song Konghong's heart sink, and he sat down powerlessly. Yu Hua seemed to have found someone to talk to, and she spoke out her thoughts one by one. Actually, in the beginning, I didn't think that Lai Gu was a good dragon. After all, the personality of a dragon is very clear. It is insatiably greedy. But today, I heard him say that he only has 3 wives. I think this dragon is quite honest. He speaks shyly and is very considerate. He takes good care of me. I think it's not bad. Nanny? Only 3 wives? Actually, the dragon race in Yu Hua's eyes was different. For those dragons that had transformed into human form, the number of females was maintained at 3 digits, and those with high status were all at 4 digits. As for Lai Gu, there were only 3 of them, and to the dragon race, it was simply a miracle. This also allowed Yu Hua to discover the difference in Lai Gu. Song Konghong was speechless. She thought to herself, I can also take care of you and be so considerate. Look, these are the flowers he gave me. I actually quite like them. However, Lai Gu's luck was also rather good. Yu Hua liked the carnations in her hands very much. Looking at Yu Hua's happy look, Song Kong's heart felt as if it was bleeding. Song Kong really wanted to take out the white paper that was in his bosom, but he didn't dare to do so right now, as he was afraid that Yuhua would reject him. Song Kong was so happy right now. "Little Red, I'm only saying this to you. Don't tell anyone else." Yuhua chuckled. In fact, Yuhua would sometimes confide in Song Kong Hong. This was because Song Kong Hong was a very good listener. He would listen to anything you said. Perhaps it was because of this that Song Kong Hong's feelings towards the moonlight essence had changed. Yuehua looked up at the full moon in the sky and said with a smile, "Let's go to the amusement park tomorrow. It should be fun." Xiao Hong, rest early. I'm going back. After that, Yuhua stood up with the flowers in her hands. "You." Blue Sky Red called out. Yuhua turned around and asked with a smile, "Is there anything else?" Seeing the smile on Yuhua's face, Song Kong Hong slowly said, "No." Yuhua nodded and walked towards her room after reminding her. Song Kong Hong sat down weakly and took out a piece of white paper. Song Kong Hong's face was contorted in grief. A tear slid out of the tiny eye and rolled down her face, dripping onto the white paper. Puff! When the tears touched the white paper, they instantly ignited and turned into dust. Behind a fake mountain not too far away, Kai Yun and his other 3 subordinates were currently sneaking away. Yi Hua's style was exactly the same as Yi Hua's. Yi Hua loved to watch this kind of gossip the most. Kai Yun sighed deeply. Sigh. Luo Ho sighed helplessly. Sigh. White Bones was exasperated. Sigh. Quang Sha was a bit bored. On the other side, Lai Gu, who had just gotten over his excitement, had also returned home. "Wife, I'm back." Lai Gu changed his shoes and shouted out loudly, without the slightest bit of feeling of guilt. Lai Gu's 3 wives could be seen sitting at the dining table, and a sumptuous dinner was placed on the dining table. "Gu Gu, have you eaten?" He stood up and asked with a smile. Lai Gu grinned and said, "Speaking of which, I am indeed a bit hungry. The portion of that candlelight dinner is too small." "A candlelight dinner?" The expressions of the 3 wives froze. "Even if you are fooling around outside, you don't have to show off in front of us, right?" Lai Gu didn't notice the expressions of his wives at all, and he immediately sat down and started eating. "It's so fragrant. You guys quickly eat." How could the 3 women have any appetite to eat? They were so angry that they were about to be full, but they were also helpless against such a matter. After the meal, Lai Gu pulled the 3 women to do their daily chores. However, Lai Gu discovered that his 3 women don't seem to be as passionate as they used to be. Just like the 3 corpses, this caused Lai Gu to be very puzzled, thinking that the 3 corpses were sick. That shouldn't be the case. They were all modified by me, and all of them have a physique that is immune to poison. What's wrong with you guys today? Is there something on your mind? Lai Gu asked curiously. The 3 women remained silent, feeling wronged to death. What do you think? Seeing that his wives were not speaking, Lai Gu smiled and said, "Today's date was pretty good. I told Yuhua that I have the 3 of you as my wives, and she doesn't mind. We still have to go to the amusement park to play tomorrow. Aya, it's getting late. I need to take a good rest." After finished speaking, Lai Gu hugged onto Wenxia's body. Wenxia struggled for a bit, then calmed down again. The 3 women had been worried for the entire day at home, and at night, they were still waiting for Lai Gu to come back for dinner. However, when they heard such a matter, as women, they felt uncomfortable. I really don't understand why Lai Gu likes it so much. 1 week passed by very quickly. Lai Gu asked Yuhua out to play every day, and he pampered her in every possible way. The relationship between the 2 rose like a rocket, and right now, Lai Gu was even able to hold on to Yuhua's hand. Meanwhile, Lai Gu was as happy as a child. I feel that this is what love is, it feels so comfortable. Yuhua also gradually entered the state of love. Every day, she would dress up meticulously before going out, and she would present her most beautiful side. The most important thing was, the gentleness on Yuhua's face had never stopped. Being able to receive the little gifts that Lai Gu prepared meticulously every day made Yuhua even happier. Everyone in South Wuxia saw Yuhua's current state, and they felt happy for Yuhua. Of course, they were also cursing Song Kong Hong in their hearts. It's great now, seeing that the girl that I like is gone, I feel so comfortable. I have never seen such a cowardly person. In the end, it was still because Song Kong Hong was not confident in himself. After all, in terms of appearance, the difference between the two of them was too big. Adding on the changes that happened to Yuhua this week, it caused Song Konghong to be in so much pain that she wished she was dead. Song Konghong was very hurt. Lai Gu's 3 wives were even more so. Every night, their husbands would return home at 9 p.m., and that excited look on their faces was something that even they rarely saw. Even at night, the topic that they were discussing on the bed was Yuhua. All of it was Yuhua. This caused the 3 wives to be on the verge of collapsing. If this goes on, they will definitely suffer from depression. Therefore, the 3 women had no other choice but to seek help from His Honor. If this problem is not solved, I won't be able to get over the hurdle in my heart. In actuality, the 3 women didn't dare to tell their husbands about this matter, fearing that Lai Gu would get angry. Thus, they could only endure it silently. Thus, this kind of entanglement was created, and when the entanglement accumulated to a certain extent, it would erupt. On this night, Lai Gu and Yu Hua ended their daily date. Just now, they went to the African prairie to look at various kinds of animals, and furthermore, they were holding hands with each other. Even though they were currently standing outside of South Wuxia's palace, the 2 of them were still tightly interlocked with each other. They were truly a pair of sweet lovers. Chapter 729. Yu Hua's exquisite face was a bit red as she said lightly, "Me too. Let's change to another place to play tomorrow," Lai Gu said excitedly. If in the past, he wanted to marry Yu Hua as soon as possible, then now, he just wanted to be together with Yu Hua every day. And, looking at Yu Hua's slightly shy face, Lai Gu made up his mind and hugged Yu Hua. "Yu Hua, you are the best." Right now, Yu Hua's heart was in a mess. This was the first time she snuggled into a man's embrace. This kind of hug gave her a strong sense of security, which was a feeling that she didn't have in the past. Right now, Lai Gu was very nervous. This was a different feeling from hugging my wife. Yu Hua struggled for a bit, then calmed down. "Lai Gu, we are still outside the palace." "Ah, sorry." Lai Gu hurriedly let go of Yu Hua and apologized. Looking at Lai Gu's panic-stricken look, Yu Hua laughed tenderly, just like 100 flowers blooming at the same time. "You should go back and rest early. I will wait for you tomorrow," Yu Hua said tenderly, and her pair of beautiful eyes revealed out tenderness. Lai Gu nodded his head. "And you should rest early too." Right after Yu Hua finished speaking, His Honor's voice transmission rang out in Lai Gu's mind. His Honor's tone wasn't very good. Seeing that Lai Gu's expression had a huge change, Yu Hua asked with concern, "Did something happen?" "Oh, nothing much. His Honor is looking for me." Lai Gu squeezed out a smile. Judging from His Honor's tone, it definitely isn't a small matter. It can't be because of me and Yu Hua, right? "Hurry up and go then. Don't delay the important matter," Yu Hua instructed. This made Lai Gu very happy. Looking at Lai Gu leaving, Yu Hua's mouth arced up into a trace of a smile. She was looking forward to tomorrow's date. Meanwhile, at Voidless Realm, the Empress's palace was brightly lit. Yi Hua's face was sunken as he listened to Lai Gu and the other 2 women's choked complaints. Qing Ya and Donghuang Baiji were also sitting at the side, and their expressions weren't very good either. From their complaints, Lai Gu, that scumbag, was extremely bad. He had 3 beautiful wives at home, and he was still fooling around outside. The reason why Yi Hua's face turned black was because Lai Gu's actions had caused me, the Supreme Overlord, to lose too much face. This kind of matter actually came to me, and no matter how Qing Ya and Donghuang Baiji looked at it, the subordinates that I taught are exactly like this. The 3 women had no other choice but to beg His Honor to give them justice. There's no way for us to continue living like this. In actuality, Yi Hua was also scolding Lai Gu for being stupid. "You're fooling around outside, yet you're showing off in front of your wife at night. Are you out of your mind or something? This kind of thing could not be said. After all, it was better to bring it home directly than to show off in front of his wife." Idiot! At this time, Lai Gu also appeared at the scene, and when he saw his 3 wives kneeling in front of His Honor while weeping, Lai Gu had a stupefied look on his face. Also, why is the complexion of His Honor and His Honor's madam so bad? "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Lai Gu also kneeled on the ground and shouted out. Yi Hua also didn't ask Lai Gu to get up. Since His Honor didn't say anything, Lai Gu didn't dare to get up. I feel that something big is going to happen today. Yihua looked at the big family that was kneeling on the ground, then took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up in annoyance. My face has been completely thrown away. Lai Gu, you said it yourself. How are we going to deal with this matter? Yihua said gravely. Lai Gu raised his head and said with a puzzled look on his face, Your Honor, what is the matter? Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, who were sitting at the side, shook their heads. Looking at Lai Gu's hesitant look, he doesn't seem to be pretending. What is the matter? Yihua's tone couldn't help but become a bit higher, scaring Lai Gu to the point that he hurriedly lowered his head. Subordinate really doesn't know what is going on. Lai Gu wanted to cry but had no tears. Just what is going on? Why are my 3 wives crying like that? You still have the face to ask me what is going on. Lai Gu's face suddenly sunk. Iran. Did someone bully you all? Tell me, I will help you all vent your anger. Hearing what their husbands said, the 3 women cried even more ferociously. Qingya shook her head and said faintly, Lai Gu, do you still not know? Your wife. Lai Gu was really stupefied. Donghuang Baiji directly said, Lai Gu, forget about you dating Yuhua, why did you have to anger them? Your wife. I didn't anger them. Lai Gu hurriedly explained. I indeed didn't anger them, and I have treated them quite well. The 3 women remained silent and sobbed in low voices. Yihua let out a light sigh. Towards Lai Gu, he understood him very well. For him to be able to persevere until now and not give up on them, it was already a miracle. I am asking you, just what are your thoughts towards them? Today, you don't have to hide anything from me. You better speak clearly. Because of your matter, I haven't gone to sleep yet. You are affecting my sleep quality. Qingya, Donghuang Baiji, Lai Gu still didn't understand what was going on, but he still said, Your Honor, of course I like them. Then if you were to choose between Yuhua and them, which side would you choose? Yihua raised the core question of this farce. This question made Lai Gu feel awkward. The first thing that appeared in his mind was Yuhua, and only after that did he think of his 3 wives. Seeing that Lai Gu was hesitating, tears began flowing out of the 3 women's eyes once again. I treated you with sincerity, yet this is the result I got in return. This is too hurtful. Yihua said faintly, When you were together with Yuhua this past Sunday, did you ever think about their feelings? You went on a date just because you said you were with them, and yet when you returned home, you even flaunted about it. Is there a hole in your brain? Speaking up to here, Lai Gu finally understood. So it was because of this matter. Thinking back to what happened this week, Lai Gu felt that he was indeed flaunting a bit. Your Honor, subordinate did not do that to flaunt. I only did not want to deceive them. It was subordinate who did not consider things thoroughly. I have troubled Your Honor. Lai Gu said respectfully. These were also Lai Gu's heartfelt words. He had never wanted to hide anything from them. From the first time they went on a date, it could be seen that Lai Gu told Yuhua about his 3 wives, and he did not hide anything from his wives. Perhaps, Lai Gu didn't consider things thoroughly, and didn't understand the thoughts of women. Between a husband and wife, it would be better for them to speak things out, and then solve it together. Yihua let out a breath. I helped you ask them just now, they don't mind you looking for them, but you have to respect them, don't act like how you did in the past, understand? Yihua was also reminding Lai Gu to not treat others as tools for mating, and to treat others attentively. Lai Gu naturally understood what his honor meant. Your Honor, be at ease, I will treat them well, something like this will not happen again. Chapter 730. The 4 people who were kneeling on the ground shouted out respectfully, Your Honor, Your Honor's wife. Lai Gu let out a sigh of relief, then looked at his 3 wives and said lightly, let's go home first. The 3 wives nodded their heads. In actuality, they were still a bit afraid. If I come to complain to his honor, would I anger Lai Gu? After all, in their hearts, Lai Gu was a hegemon. After returning home, Bai Xiaojun said lightly, Gu, I'll go and cook for you. Xiaojun, let's have a good talk. Lai Gu said faintly, then walked towards the living room. Hearing that her husband's tone was different from before, the 3 women were a bit flustered. However, they still obediently followed behind her husband. The 4 of them sat on the sofa, and Lai Gu suddenly held onto the hands of his 3 wives and said slowly, I very rarely say sorry, but regarding this matter, the way I handled it was wrong. I have caused all of you to feel sad. I apologize to all of you. Hearing Lai Gu's apology, the resentment in the three women's hearts instantly dissipated. Lai Gu had never acted like this before. However, Lai Gu continued, we don't have any emotional foundation in the beginning, I only treated you all as a tool to vent. Lai Gu still said. Lai Gu couldn't say this sentence out, but he still understood. More or less, but after such a long time, I discovered that I can't seem to leave you all, I have already gotten used to it. But the feeling that Yuehua gave me was like my first love, or rather love. I have never experienced such a feeling before, and the feelings between us were formed on the bed. Can you all understand if I say it like this? Lai Gu was speaking from the bottom of his heart. Bai Xiaozhen's slender shoulders slightly trembled as she choked with sobs. Then, after you have Yuehua, will you still treat us well? Lai Gu couldn't help but knock onto Bai Xiaozhen's forehead. Are you stupid? Although I like Yuehua, I didn't say that I will treat you all badly. If Yuehua comes to our house, she will also be the fourth child, and you will still be the eldest. Really? Bai Xiaozhen still didn't dare to believe it. These few days, I have been letting my imagination run wild. I thought that my husband would give me the cold shoulder. That's why, you women just love to let your imagination run wild, and you even quarreled with his honor. If there's anything, we can sit down and talk, understand? After chatting like this, the three women heaved a sigh of relief. Actually, they were afraid that Lai Gu would give them the cold shoulder. I'm sorry. Wen Xia took the initiative to apologize to her husband. Lai Gu laughed evilly. Is a single apology enough? You guys have been lying like corpses for the past few days. Today, I am also going to lie like a corpse. After the misunderstanding was resolved, Lai Gu was finally able to feel comfortable. So much so that when the next morning came, the three wives even helped their husbands to dress up, and warned him about the things that he had to pay attention to, so as to not make the girls unhappy. Lai Gu was very happy towards his wives' change. Furthermore, he guaranteed that Yuehua would be his last woman. If Yuehua heard what Lai Gu said, he would definitely not believe it. Because in the past, Lai Gu often said that this female dragon is my last dragon. However, maybe, after Lai Gu became a human, he also changed? With a happy mood and under the encouragement of his wives, Lai Gu continued to flirt with girls. Lai Gu was really interested in Yuehua. Of course, towards his wives' magnanimity, Lai Gu was also very gratified, and the way he treated them also changed a lot. A year passed in the blink of an eye. During this year, nothing happened at all. This caused Yuehua to be so bored that he started combing his hair. From that day onwards, Voidless Realm and South Wuxia were also being guessed by many people, wondering if they would shake hands and make peace with each other or fall out with each other. However, as a year passed, everyone seemed to have forgotten about these two huge organizations. Those who should be going to bars were going to bars, those who should be flirting with girls were going to flirt with girls, and those who should be going on blind dates were going on blind dates. This was also the thing that made Yuehua depressed. If everything is going on the right track, why would I want to stir up trouble? If not for my children growing up a bit, I would have directly killed my way back to Voidless Realm right now. Speaking of children, God Yi and Yi Lu had truly inherited Yuehua's personality. They were very competitive and had an unyielding spirit. Ever since they were born, they had never left Voidless Realm. On the other hand, Dong Huangli and Yi Yan were different. Sometimes they would go out to play, and when they were bored, they would train for a bit. Towards the four children's personalities, Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji gave up on correcting them. However, during this period of time a very strange thing happened, and that was the Green and Red brothers. They were actually unable to conceive a child, and this made Zishan and the other vampire sisters extremely anxious. In fact, they even gave the Green and Red brothers some old folk medicine to eat. In the end, they had no choice but to look for Yuehua. After Yuehua's diagnosis, he said that the Green and Red brothers were very normal, and if they were to continue working hard, they might be able to conceive a child. This matter also fell into the ears of Dou Fushi and Li Hun. Originally, Li Hun didn't really care about this matter, but he was also very puzzled. I didn't take any safety measures with me, so why aren't there any reactions? As for Zhu Tian, he was still in the state of a kitten. Yi Zizi was still the same, playing games every day. Wei Chong and Tang Wei were also the same. Tang Wei had long given up on attacking, and without Tang Wei attacking, Wei Chong became even more unresponsive. Death Mage and Sun Fong were also the same, playing games and whatnot, living their lives happily. Blood Demon was also the same, meticulously taking care of the bar, making sure that his honor had enough pocket money. As for Lai Gu and Yu Hua, good things were about to happen. In this 1 year, Lai Gu had been very respectful and caring towards Yu Hua, and even now, he still hasn't kissed Yu Hua, and was only holding hands. Yu Hua was also gradually being captivated by Lai Gu's tenderness. Yesterday night, Lai Gu's marriage proposal was successful, and he begged his honor to host the wedding for him. This caused Yi Hua, who was bored to the point of being anxious, to come to life. I remember that the wedding that was hosted last time was hosted by Yi Hong and Zi Shan. I didn't expect that it would be Lai Gu's turn so quickly. I am very happy. The weather was beautiful, and the sunlight was warm. Lai Gu arrived at South Wuxia early in the morning to wait for Yu Hua, because today, he was going to bring Yu Hua back home to get to know his 3 wives, then prepare to get married. Thinking about the 1 year that he spent chasing after Yu Hua, Lai Gu felt very happy. Hard work pays off. I finally managed to chase after the girl that I like. I am too happy. Yu Hua, who was in the room, was currently dressing up, and her beautiful face appeared to be very shy and a bit nervous. In any case, I am going to meet Lai Gu's other wives today. However, thinking about how well Lai Gu treated her, Yu Hua revealed out a happy smile. Marrying Lai Gu should be very happy. Sigh, my Yu Hua is about to leave me. Kai Yun walked into the room disconsolately and sighed. Yu Hua turned her head around and said with a smile, Flagmaster, wasn't it you who pushed me out? Then, I am going to take it back now. Kai Yun sat in Yu Hua's embrace and had a look of reluctance on his face. Chapter 731. I feel that it's fine as well. Then, I will inform Lai Gu about it now. Yu Hua joked. Kai Yun snorted. Yu Hua, you have been led astray by that Lai Gu, Yu Hua chuckled. I think so too. Looking at Yu Hua's tender appearance, Kai Yun sighed emotionally. Yu Hua, this dragon has chased after you for a year. His sincerity has finally come, and I can hand you over to him with ease. Towards creatures like dragons, they were a group of impatient and unbridled races. This was even more so towards women. Lai Gu persisted for a year and was respectful towards Yu Hua. He had also obtained Kai Yun's acknowledgement, and even more so, he had obtained Yu Hua's acknowledgement. Flagmaster, look at what you're saying. It's as if I've married far away. Don't talk about it anymore. The others are still waiting outside the palace. Yes. Lai Gu, who was standing outside, finally waited for the moonlight to appear. Every time he saw the moonlight, Lai Gu would feel a surge of emotions. This surge of emotions wasn't a physiological need, it was just a simple desire to see the moonlight. Even from far away, Lai Gu waved his arm and shouted loudly, Yu Hua! Looking at Lai Gu's joyful look, Yu Hua revealed out a gentle smile. Lai Gu, I have made you wait for a long time. Lai Gu held on to Yu Hua's hand and said, It's all right, I am willing to wait for as long as it takes. Yu Hua was wearing a sparkling wedding ring on her finger. Everyone was envious. Your wife won't bully me, right? Yu Hua said in a joking tone. How could that be? They're all waiting for you. Our whole family is going to take our wedding photos. And I will listen to you. Yu Hua lightly held onto Lai Gu's arm, and the two of them disappeared from Nanwu Flag. In Song Kong Hong's room, the table was filled with empty bottles of 5-grain liquor. Song Kong Hong, who had sealed his cultivation, was already unconscious on the floor. There were many shredded pieces of paper on the floor, filled with his longing for Yue Hua. However, he had torn them up himself. The sad song, Learn to Get Used To, played on a loop in the room. White Bones stood at the side, looking at Blue Sky Hong, who had been dispirited for a year. Why are you pretending to be dead? Who are you trying to sell yourself to? White Bones kicked Song Kong Hong, who was on the ground, and said angrily. Seeing that Song Kong Hong, who was on the ground, did not have any reaction, White Bones shouted lightly. You are the one who let him go, you can't blame others. Look at how much Lai Gu cares about you, then look at you, how can there be a coward like you in our Five Flags division? From what I see, Yu Hua's choice of Lai Gu is also correct. With your cowardly look, which woman would like you? The more Bai Gu spoke, the angrier he got, especially when he saw Firmament Hong's silly look. Now they're about to get married. If you have the ability, go and steal the wedding, coward. White Bones was also furious. He fiercely kicked and disappeared. After White Bones left, Blue Sky Red, who was on the ground, opened her small eyes. Bride kidnapping? This might be his last chance. Within Voidless Realm, Yi Hua was currently thinking about the wedding process. No matter what, it was Lai Gu's wedding, and as Lai Gu's mount, Yi Hua was very attentive towards it. However, this time, I don't plan to invite a lot of people. All of them are just a group of subordinates. Using Lai Gu's words, great scholar, low profile. Low profile. Actually, it was Yue Hua's idea. She didn't like to make it too grand. It was enough to have everyone's blessings. Qingya, what do you think I should say? Yi Hua asked curiously. After waiting for a while, Qingya didn't reply. Yi Hua asked Donghuang Baiji, Baiji, what do you think we should do to liven things up? Donghuang Baiji didn't say anything. Yi Hua turned his head around and looked towards his two wives. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji could be seen drinking tea with an unhappy look on their faces. A certain person, he is so worried about his subordinate's marriage, but why doesn't he worry about his own? Qingya's words have a hidden meaning. It has already been so long, yet Yi Hua still hasn't given me and Baiji a wedding. Donghuang Baiji said, from what I see, a certain person doesn't want to give us a wedding. Yi Hua knew that it would be like this. These 2 days, the two of them have been acting abnormally. I already told you two, after I get my revenge, I will give you two an unprecedented wedding. Then, how long do we have to wait? Are we going to have all our hair turn white and all our teeth fall out? Qingya snorted. Yi Hua smiled bitterly and shook his head. You two don't worry, help me think of a way first. Donghuang Baiji snorted. We are the women's people, how can we possibly think of a way with you? Tell Lai Gu to prepare more red packets, otherwise, he won't open the door. Yi Hua. The wedding this time was different from the last time. These women were also grabbing onto the opportunity to cause trouble. All of the women joined in blocking the door, and even Qingya and Donghuang Baiji joined in the fun. Yi Hua smiled in disdain. All right, let's wait and see. All right, let's see who is more impressive. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji weren't afraid. October 10th was a good day. Today was the day that Lai Gu and his 4 wives were getting married. In the end, Yi Hua decided that the wedding would be held at Voidless Realm. Therefore, Voidless Realm was brimming with happiness today. As for the women, they were all arranged to be at South Wuxia Banner. As the groom, Lai Gu was wearing Chinese groom attire today, and there was even a huge red flower tied to his chest. Coupled with that happy expression of his, he simply looked like an idiot. No matter how powerful a person is, when it comes to the day that they get married, they would all become like this. When the day comes, I will be very calm and collected. Yi Hua was also dressed splendidly today. Looking at the time, it's about time. Everyone come over. Yi Hua ordered. Lai Gu, Wei Chong, Death Mage, Yi Hong, Elvi Liang, Do Fusher, Blood Demon, and a husky formed Lai Gu's groomsmen group. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Everyone shouted out in unison. Yi Hua slightly raised his hand and said, Today, we only have one mission. Snatch the bride. When everyone heard, snatch the bride, it was so exciting. However, Lai Gu hurriedly said, The bride is mine, you all cannot snatch the bride. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed out loud, and even Yi Hua laughed out loud. This is the kind of festive atmosphere that I wanted. Speaking of which, it has been a long time since the entire group was like this. This wedding is a good one. Yi Hua looked at the time. The auspicious time has arrived. Let's go. Everyone rubbed their palms together, preparing to turn South Wuxia Banner upside down. Everyone immediately arrived at South Wuxia Banner, and Yi Hua waved his hand. Snatch. Lai Gu and the others shouted out. Snatch. Seeing that his honor had brought people over to snatch the bride, Bai Gu, who was in the air, hurriedly went back to report the situation. His honor is here to snatch the bride. For beautiful women who were dressed in red bridal attire could be seen sitting on the big bed, and countless beautiful women could be seen standing beside them. Qingya, Donghuang Baiji, Qing Yutong, Yi Zizi, Brett, Tang Wei, Sun Fong, Zishan, Li Hun, the Blood Clan sisters, Dongfang Yuer, Guanyan Xin, and of course, Kai Yun, the little beauty. Luo Ho, Kwang Sha, and Bai Gu were naturally among them as well, but Sky Red was not seen. Chapter 732. Everyone thought that Song Kong Hong did not want to see this scene, so she hid in her room and cried. Or perhaps she did not dare to face reality and chose to escape. Qingya laughed lightly and said, "Snatch people. It won't be that easy." That's right, that's right. Is it so easy to marry my Yu Hua? Kai Yun revealed a naughty smile. It looked like the female side was going to stir up trouble. With Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji supporting him, the woman's side became very arrogant. If Lai Gu wants to marry his wife today, no matter what, he would have to lose a few kilograms of blood. At this moment, Qingya laughed tenderly, then immediately formed hand seals with both hands, Emperor Extreme Mystery Codex. This move was something that Yi Hua had taught Qingya. Right now, Qingya was using this move to trick her husband. This move was also a blatant revenge on Yi Hua. Yi Hua didn't give me a wedding, yet he didn't even coax Yi Hua. An invisible barrier could be seen enveloping the bride's room. In order to make the barrier even more sturdy, Qingya smiled and said, "Come, add a bit of something." All the beauties had heard what your wife had said. She had added as much material as she could to make the barrier as hard as possible. Right now, Yi Hua had brought his underlings over. Era ran at the very front and excitedly stuck out his tongue and swung it around, making it seem as if he was the one who got married. Bang! The husky Yun Lang felt as if he had knocked his head on something. He felt dizzy and his limbs were unsteady, as if he was drunk. Seeing how the husky was acting, Yi Hua raised his hand and clenched his fist. "There's a trap." The subordinates came to an abrupt halt. Lai Gu stretched out his hand and touched with a puzzled expression, and the corner of his mouth twitched. "Do you have to be so ruthless?" Blood Demon, who was at the side, was recording the scene with his camera. Such a joyous moment like this naturally has to be recorded. 100 years. 1,000 years. 10,000 years later, when I take it out to look at it, it will also be very warm and heartwarming. This was what a lively team should be like. One that felt like home. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and touched Yi Hua's hand. Yi Hua silently scolded his wife for messing around. However, since it is a wedding, of course, I have to mess around. Yi Hua could be seen taking out a loudspeaker, then shouting out loudly, "The woman inside, listen up. You have been surrounded. If you know what's good for you, quickly hand over the bride to me." Lai Gu felt that with his honor supporting him, Lai Gu's confidence had also increased. When his honor speaks, will the woman inside still dare to not listen to him? However, Dong Huang Baiji shouted out loudly, "Yi Hua, didn't you say that there isn't a difference between a superior and a subordinate today?" Did I say that?" Yi Hua looked towards his male subordinate, and the latter shook his head. "When did I say that? Hurry up and open the barrier, don't let me find a chance to flip out." Yi Hua, who was holding onto the megaphone and shouting out the words, was also rather hilarious. "If you all have the ability, then come and snatch it from me." Qingya was not to be outdone. Yi Hua smiled. "These two jealous wives of mine, I really have to give it to them." "Lai Gu, go," Yi Hua said gravely. "All right." Era, who was sitting at the side, felt that his honor's tone is so strange. It seems like his honor is calling out to me. Lai Gu walked to the side of the barrier, stood in a horse stance and clenched his fists. "Lai Gu is going to use force." Zishan cried out in surprise. Li Hun waved his hand and said, "Don't worry. Your wife's barrier together with our spiritual energy won't be broken so easily." "Humph, if you want to marry my Yu Hua, you'll have to go through 81 tribulations." Kai Yun gave a tender humph. She was a member of her family, yet when such a day really came, she was still reluctant to part with Yu Hua. "Although I will be able to see Yu Hua very soon, I still feel that Yu Hua isn't mine anymore. I really regret introducing Yu Hua to Yi Hua. I thought that Yu Hua wouldn't take a fancy to Lai Gu, but I didn't expect that Lai Gu would be so persistent. To a dragon, this is simply unbelievable." Back then, Kai Yun was still thinking that Lai Gu would definitely lose his patience after failing to woo Yu Hua for a month. In the end, Lai Gu chased Yu Hua for a whole year, completely moving Yu Hua's heart. This is truly incomprehensible. Are you AF** King Dragon or not? You are a dog, right? Speaking of which, during the few years that Lai Gu was a dog, he had tempered his patience. According to his past personality, if Lai Gu didn't get any results after a week, he would have said goodbye. There was a loud bang. The entire Nanwu flag trembled violently. Lai Gu, who was outside, ruthlessly smashed his fist onto the barrier, and the position of both of his feet shattered. However, the barrier trembled along with Nanwu flag. Kai Yun, who was inside, immediately shouted out, Lai Gu, if you break my Nanwu flag again, don't even think about marrying Yuhua today. Yuhua, who was sitting on the bed, shouted out in a low voice, Flagmaster. Her meaning was very clear, don't make things too difficult for Lai Gu. This caused Kai Yun to become even more gloomy. Right now, I haven't even gotten married yet, and I am already speaking up for my man. All of the women here have men, and they were able to understand the thoughts of the bride. At a time like this, don't disturb me from getting married. I have waited for this day with great difficulty. If it was them, they would definitely be the same as well, and they would also be impatient to get married. Lai Gu, who was outside, was very anxious, and he could only seek help from his honor. My little brother is getting married today. You all are playing too much. What do you all want before you all open the door? Yihua didn't waste any more time. Let's not waste any more time. Let's start with a rain of red packets. The laughter of the women inside rang out. Without even thinking, Lai Gu took out his phone and began sending red packets in the group. The women inside the group were also courting death by snatching the red packets. Yihua also silently took out his phone and casually tapped on a few red packets, feeling happy. Afterward, Qingye shouted out loudly, Yihua, you cannot snatch them. Hurry up and send them out. Lai Gu looked at his honor with hidden bitterness. Looking at Lai Gu's expression, Yihua felt helpless. Didn't I just snatch a few red packets? These women are truly stingy. What's wrong with me snatching a few red packets? Without a choice, Yihua sent out a few more red packets, and I even suffered a loss. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have snatched them. After a few waves of red packets rained down, Qingye finally removed the barrier. Yihua waved his hand. Snatch! A group of men immediately rushed into the room and even knocked down the door. The men were simply going to kill the gods that they meet. How could the women be able to resist against them? In an instant, the men arrived in front of the bride. Qingye said angrily, Why did you all let the red packets in so quickly? The red packet rain hasn't even stopped yet. The women were also helpless. These men are too savage. Yihua looked at his female subordinates and snorted, What? Do you want to block my path too? Qingye and Donghuang Baiji snorted. At the scene, only the two of them dared to be disrespectful to Yihua. At this time, it was Lai Gu's turn to speak. Looking at the four wives on the bed, Lai Gu's heart surged endlessly. I finally have a wife. Read according to what is written on it, they are all written by your wives. Donghuang Baiji took out a piece of white paper, and on the paper, densely packed words were written on it. Lai Gu held on to the paper. There are a lot of rules here. Looking at Lai Gu, who was preparing to take the oath, Yihua said faintly, What are you standing for? Kneel down. Lai Gu looked at his honor with a stupefied look. His honor? Just whose side are you on? You can't be a spy, right? That's right, his honor has already spoken. Hurry up and kneel down and read. Kai Yun also wanted to, just that he was too embarrassed to say it out. Since his honor had already spoken, Kai Yun immediately followed suit. Chapter 733. What else could Lai Gu do? Lai Gu obediently knelt beside the bed, then said, My dear wives, I, Lai Gu, hereby swear that in this lifetime, I will only love the four of you. If I were to violate my vow, then let you Hua. Crackbone's skin felt a little numb. Was there a need to be so ruthless? Hurry up and read it. Don't waste time. Qingye let out a sweet-sounding laughter. These were all written by the women together, and of course, these were also the thoughts of the four brides. Lai Gu made up his mind, I will just let Yuhua kill me, and from then on, I will not be able to have sex anymore. All the men instantly felt a chill in their crotches. How ruthless. Men really can't get married. After marriage, they will be completely suppressed by their wives. However, Lai Gu didn't think so, and he wholeheartedly wanted to marry them into his family. Therefore, he agreed to countless terms. It was like rubbing the dragon's face on the ground with all his might. After the vows, there were still various kinds of games that Lai Gu played. Lai Gu was also very cooperative, causing his 4 wives to laugh continuously. This is the atmosphere that a wedding should have. However, one of the games was a little scary. That was to let Lai Gu cover his eyes and kiss his 4 wives. Then guess who the wives were? However, the target of the kiss was not his 4 wives. Instead, he replaced them with Death Mage, Yi Hong, Do Fushi, and Ha. Everyone held back their laughter when they saw this scene, especially Ha, who stuck out his tongue to breathe. However, Lai Gu still had a bashful look on his face, causing everyone to almost collapse from laughter. The first thing that Lai Gu chose to do was to kiss Death Mage. This caused Sun Fong to cover her small mouth and almost spurt out. Even Death Mage's expression changed as he tightly grabbed onto the bedsheet. I am going to be kissed by a man, so disgusting. However, Lai Gu was rather unrestrained, and he directly kissed Yi Hua. Everyone could even see that Lai Gu had stretched out his tongue and actually French kissed Death Mage. Looking at the situation, everyone was no longer able to hold back their laughter and started laughing wildly. Even Yi Hua was paralyzed from laughing. The 4 brides on the bed also giggled. As expected of the undead clan, full of gay affection. When Lai Gu heard the laughter beside his ear, coupled with the feeling that it was weird, he took off his blindfold. Looking at Death Mage who was in front of him with a face that was about to collapse, and those eerie white teeth. Fuck. I feel like vomiting. Lai Gu had the heart to cry. You guys are too much of a bully. All of you are joining hands to bully me. This was the funniest scene. The last task was to find the shoes. When other people got married, they would look for a pair of shoes, but when Lai Gu got married, he would look for 4 pairs, 8 pairs. Yi Hua didn't hold back. Listen up, lift up their skirts. It must be hidden under the skirt. Yes. The male subordinates immediately looked at their wives. The room was immediately thrown into chaos. Yi Hua immediately hugged onto Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, then said in a low voice, "The 2 of you are not being honest today." Qingya and Donghuang Baiji said, "Who told you not to coax us?" All right, I'll coax you tonight. Pervert. Quickly tell me where the shoes are. Yi Hua said with a smile. Go look for it yourself. Don't force me to lift up my skirt. Yi Hua threatened. Then go ahead and open it. Let's see if there are any. Yi Hua felt that it was definitely not on them. Immediately, he looked towards his sister-in-law, and the latter was immediately startled. So it turns out that it was on Yu Tong's body. After letting go of his 2 wives, Yi Hua immediately grabbed onto his sister-in-law. Ah, brother-in-law, what are you doing? What do you think I am doing? Quickly hand it over. Don't. Qing Yutong snorted, indicating that her brother-in-law didn't like her anymore. Yi Hua said in a low voice, Tell me where the shoes are, I will come over and accompany you tonight. Really? Qing Yutong was delighted. Of course, when have I ever lied to you? Qing Yutong immediately told Yi Hua where all of the shoes were hidden. Fortunately, Yi Hua had a little secret agent. If not, it would be really hard to find the shoes. Donghuang Baiji, who was standing not far away, said in a low voice, Qingya, why do I feel that those 2 fellows are doing something ambiguous behind our backs? I have the same feeling too. Qingya nodded her head. They couldn't have already done it, right? That's why they are hiding it from us? Donghuang Baiji cried out in surprise. However, there wasn't any anger on her face. I don't know. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were both puzzled, just that, they didn't have any evidence to prove it. With Qing Yutong's help, the shoes were instantly found. Lai Gu was finally able to bring his 4 wives out. He was so happy. Everyone excitedly changed their destination and arrived at Voidless Realm. After everyone left, only Tsong Konghong was left in South Wuxia. Just now, he heard the laughter from the other side, and his heart felt very gloomy. But today I, Tsong Konghong, am going to be a man and take back my love. After returning to Voidless Realm, immediately, gongs and drums could be heard, and there were even firecrackers being set off. Since the wedding was going to be held in Voidless Realm, other than his subordinates, all of Voidless Realm's residents would also be attending the wedding. The wedding was going to be held in Voidless Realm, and the wedding was going to be held in a rather grand manner. There were a few hundred tables. The ones who were sitting at the very front were naturally Qing Ya's subordinates. As the host of the wedding, Yi Hua was already standing on the stage with a happy smile on his face. It is very rare to see Yi Hua smile for so long. Qing Ya said tenderly. Dong Huang Baiji was also moved. That's right, this fellow looks cold, but in actuality, his heart is very warm. This is what it means to be cold on the outside but warm on the inside, right? Qing Ya said tenderly. While looking at her man with her beautiful eyes, her heart was filled with happiness. Yi Hua, who was standing on the stage, looked at his subordinates and felt gratified in his heart. Right now, all of them were in pairs, living happily with each other. Compared to the way they fought and killed each other in the past, they were like two different people. As the boss of the team, Yi Hua also sighed incomparably. Slowly picking up the microphone, Yi Hua said with an incomparably joyful voice, I am very happy to be able to stand here and host this wedding for Lai Gu. After finished speaking, Yi Hua even held on to Lai Gu, looking like a good brother. This caused Lai Gu to feel a bit overwhelmed by the favor. I remember that last time, I was hosting Yi Hong and Zi Shan's wedding. In the blink of an eye, 2 years have passed. Time flies. Cherish the loved ones by your side. Let's not talk any more nonsense. Let's welcome today's 4 brides. The wedding march immediately rang out. The 4 brides had changed into pure white wedding gowns and were slowly walking over with white scarves. The ones who were scattering flowers at the front were naturally the 4 little fellows. Back then, when Yi Hong and Zi Shan got married, Ali was also scattering flowers. Today, it wasn't just Ali, Yi Yan, God Yi, and Yi Lu were all present. Adorable children and beautiful brides. It was simply a perfect scene. Looking at his 4 wives who were leisurely walking over, Lai Gu felt very excited in his heart, to the point where he even had the feeling of wanting to cry. In my entire life, I have experienced many big and small battles with his honor. Every single day, I am walking on a tightrope, and I might fall at any moment. At that time, I can only vent. Chapter 734. Lai Gu knew that dragons always gave people a bad impression, but Yu Hua still chose to believe in him. I will not disappoint Yu Hua and my 3 wives. I will treat them well, love them well, protect them well, otherwise they will be sad. As the 4 brides walked to the front of the stage, Yi Hua picked up the microphone and said with a smile, Lai Gu, do you know what you did wrong? Everyone present was stupefied. His honor changed his attitude too quickly, right? Lai Gu came to a realization and shook his head. Yi Hua said gravely, as your leader, I, the Supreme Overlord, only have 2 wives. You actually married 4 wives at once. Aren't you stealing my limelight? Everyone, Zi Shan laughed. His honor has become much more daring recently. He is no longer afraid of your wife. Yi Hong pouted her mouth. His honor is a real man, unlike me. I get abused by Zi Shan every single day. Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji were helpless after hearing what Yi Hua said. Qing Ya shouted out, if you think that you don't have enough wives, go and find more. That's right. Do you want me to introduce a few beauties to you? Dong Huang Baiji said. This caused everyone to burst into laughter. The relationship between his honor and your wife sure is good, and they are also very down to earth, not giving off a feeling of being high and mighty. When have I, the Supreme Overlord, ever been a coward? Baiji, you are the one who said it. I still want 3 more. Yi Hua joked. No matter what, I still want more than my subordinates, right? Dong Huang Baiji's expression remained unchanged. 3, that's too little. How about 30? I will let you flip the cards tonight. Yi Hua laughed out loud. Qing Ya, did you hear that? Hurry up and take action now. Blood Demon, take a picture of this for me. These are all evidence. Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji snorted. He is even going to go on a high level. He still wants to have 30 wives. Pig trotter. Everyone was very surprised that his honor was able to make such a joke. At the same time, they also discovered another side of his honor. It was very interesting. Especially the newly joined South Wuxia and the others. They finally understood his honor a little. Let's put aside my harem plans for now. The main character today is not me. What his honor said caused everyone who was seated to laugh out. So, his honor can actually be this amusing? I'm afraid that I have to go back and kneel on the keyboard tonight. Yihua gradually became serious and said to the four brides, Lai Gu has followed me for over 1,000 years, and he has done his best to help me. Lai Gu has been hovering on the edge of death. There is no perfect person. Lai Gu has his flaws, and I naturally have my flaws as well. However, since the four of you have chosen each other, you have to advance and retreat together. Lai Gu, do you have anything to say to them? Yihua passed the microphone over. Lai Gu took over the microphone, and he seemed to be very nervous. Even his hands were trembling. This was the first time Lai Gu's subordinates saw Lai Gu in such a state. Usually, Lai Gu was very carefree, and they didn't expect that he would be so nervous at this moment. What a naive dragon. The four wives standing in front of him were also smiling, looking at their adorable husbands. Lai Gu suddenly laughed. I'm sorry, I was too nervous and almost peed my pants. Ha ha. Everyone immediately burst into laughter, and even Yihua laughed. Lai Gu was also using this kind of method to relieve the nervousness in his heart. Taking a deep breath, Lai Gu said seriously, My personality is indeed not that good, but you all know that I am also changing. I will use the rest of my life to properly cherish all of you, and be a good husband, a good father. Everyone immediately applauded, and the applause of over 1,000 people resounded throughout the entire voidless realm. Yihua passed the microphone over to Lai Gu's wife, Still Ran. Right now, Still Ran was very excited and nervous. Recalling back to the first time she met Lai Gu, she was simply terrified. At that time, Lai Gu was still a dog. However, what she didn't expect was that Lai Gu was actually not a dog, but a dragon. At first, she was trembling under the tyranny of this dragon, and she even dragged her two good sisters along with her. However, because of such a coincidence, she slowly fell in love with this dragon. It was very dramatic. With a light smile on her face, she said tenderly, Lai Gu, I am honored that you dragged me away that day. This sentence was only known to Lai Gu and Still Ran, and of course Yihua as well. There was no need to say anything. What followed next was when Xia and Bai Xiaozhen's heartfelt words. Lai Gu was extremely touched, and he was actually moved to tears. The four wives were also infected by Lai Gu, and tears of happiness flowed down from their eyes. Yihua smiled. Look, Lai Gu is actually moved to tears. Everyone, let's give him a round of applause. At this moment, it was Yuhua's turn. Yuhua was also Lai Gu's most favorite woman, and it could be said that she was his first love. Everyone in the team knew that Lai Gu spent an entire year chasing after Yuhua, and they were all very impressed by him. If there is a man who is able to chase after a woman for an entire year, then hurry up and accept him. Yuhua said lightly, Lai Gu, thank you for accompanying me for an entire year, allowing me to experience a different feeling. Actually, I didn't like you in the beginning, but as I got to know you more, I found out that you are very considerate, very concerned about me, and always think for me. Thank you for treating me so well. Right after Yuhua finished speaking, Yihua teased, Bride, you wouldn't be giving me a good person card right now, right? Everyone immediately burst into laughter. His honor is too funny. Yuehua was also very helpless. His honor is truly mischievous. However, Yihua's words frightened Lai Gu. He actually really thought that Yuhua would give him a good person card. However, Yuhua said tenderly, Lai Gu, I love you. The audience was silent for a second. In an instant, the entire voidless realm burst into an uproar. Everyone stood up and cheered, and all kinds of whistles could be heard. The entire voidless realm sank into a sea of joy. As the person involved, Lai Gu had already used his sleeves to wipe his tears. 1 year. He chased after Yuhua for a year. Today, he finally heard Yuehua say that she loved him. It was not easy. Yihua was also very happy. It is my happiness that my subordinates are happy. This time, Lai Gu is truly not having it easy. Look at the Supreme Overlord. When have I ever pursued Qingya and Donghuang Baiji? It was the two of them who sent themselves to my doorstep, and this Supreme Overlord reluctantly accepted them. Thinking up to here, Yihua secretly took a look at his two wives, and the two wives looked towards their husbands with a gaze filled with hidden bitterness. The meaning was clear. You never pursued us, yet we gave birth to 2 children for you. You big liar. Yihua hurriedly took the microphone and changed the topic. Everyone, quiet down for a bit. It is time to get to the main topic. Following Yihua's voice, everyone became silent. This is the might that comes from a supreme overlord. It can expand and contract freely. Lai Gu, are you willing to marry them? Just when Lai Gu was about to say that he was willing, Yi Hua interrupted him. Wait a moment, I have forgotten a procedure. Lai Gu. Your Honor, stop playing around. Just let me marry my wives in peace. Yi Hua looked towards everyone and asked, is there anyone who objects? Chapter 735. Yi Hua was dumbfounded. Not only was Yi Hua stupefied, Lai Gu was also stupefied, the 4 brides were also stupefied, everyone was stupefied. There was really someone who objected. Yi Hua was just asking according to the procedure, and in the end, there was really someone who objected to it. This caused Yi Hua's face to immediately darken. Which idiot actually dares to come and ruin my place? And at this time, the expressions of Kai Yun and the others who were seated below changed drastically. The voice was all too familiar. Sky Red. Although White Bones could not be seen at the scene, his face was full of shock. Who would have thought that Cerulean Red would really come? Aren't you a little too daring? Don't you know that His Honor is the one presiding over the wedding? Why didn't you have such guts in the past? Aren't you courting death? The expressions of the subordinates changed in an instant, and they were filled with murderous intent. Who the hell would dare to cause trouble in such an environment? Qing Ya and Donghuang Baiji both appeared very cold. This is such a joyous occasion, and there are still people who came to make trouble. As the groom, Lai Gu clenched his fists tightly, and killing intent immediately burst out. Stealing a wife was like killing one's father. Yu Hua's face darkened slightly. Although it was just one word, Yu Hua could still tell who it was. Sky Red. Reverse. Another voice rang out, and it was filled with incomparable determination. And this figure also appeared, walking in the middle of the aisle paved with white flowers. Yi Hua's brows were tightly wrinkled as he looked at Sky Hong, and then he looked towards Kai Yun. His intentions were very clear. What does your subordinate mean? How dare you make me lose face? Yes. Song Kong Hong finally finished his sentence, but no one laughed at him, because everyone was confused and even shocked by Song Kong Hong's ugly behavior. This person's appearance was so ugly, yet he still dared to kidnap the bride. Don't you know what you're doing? Moreover, Song Kong Hong was considered one of them. Their own people smashing their own place. Could it be said that His Honor is not good at disciplining his subordinates? There is actually someone who dares to brazenly snatch a marriage. This was completely not putting the supreme sovereign in his eyes. Kai Yun was anxious. She had not expected that Song Kong Hong would really dare to come and snatch the wedding. She had thought that things would get better after today. In the end, not only did he not get any better, but now he was courting death. Luo Ho shouted at Song Kong Hong. What are you doing? Come down quickly. Wild Sand was silent, as if he could understand Sky Red's feelings. The fact that Song Kong Hong dared to come here today meant that he had cast aside his own life and death. He would either succeed or die. Kai Yun shouted out angrily. If you had this kind of courage in the past, Lai Gu wouldn't even be here. Kai Yun didn't care too much about it and hurriedly walked forward, then leaned over to Yi Hua's side and said, Your Honor. Song Kong Hong is immature. Please quell your anger. Subordinate will bring him away right away. Before Yi Hua could say anything, Kai Yun hurriedly ran towards Song Kong Hong, then pulled onto Song Kong Hong's sleeve. Who knew that Sky Hong would swing his arm? You! Kai Yun's entire person was in a bad mood. He was actually shaken off by his subordinate. An honest man in his outburst was terrifying, and when he became stubborn, no one could stop him. It's over, White Bones whispered. The fact that Yi Hua didn't stop him just now was also giving him face. Just pull him back. He didn't expect that this blue Sky Red was so thick-headed. Sky Red! You sure have guts. Yi Hua shouted out angrily. Luo Ho, White Bones, and Kwang Sha couldn't care so much anymore. They immediately stood up and walked to the center of the hall, then kneeled on the ground. Your Honor, please quell your anger. This blue Sky Red has drunk too much. We will bring him away right now. We have disturbed your Honor's mood. After finished speaking, the 3 of them prepared to pull Blue Sky Red away, because if Blue Sky Red were to continue acting recklessly, his life would be in danger. Yu Hua looked at the stubborn Blue Sky Red blankly, not knowing what she was thinking about. Lai Gu was angered to the point that his entire body was trembling. If it was someone else, that person would have already become a corpse by now. However, this person is one of us. Without his honor's order, how am I supposed to kill him? Furthermore, today is the day of the wedding. Seeing blood is very inauspicious. Boom. The three of them who went to pull Blue Sky Red could be seen being directly sent flying by Blue Sky Red and falling onto the crowd. No. Go! The last word was shouted out by Blue Sky Red, and all of the grievances that he had been holding back for the past year completely exploded out. A terrifying aura immediately engulfed the entire place. As expected of the leader of South Wuxia's 5 banners, his strength is indeed formidable. Kai Yun glared angrily at Blue Sky Red and shouted out, "You chose your own path. Don't you feel ashamed for coming here and causing trouble now? Even I feel ashamed for you." Blue Sky Red's twisted facial features became malevolent, and he suddenly knelt down towards Yi Hua. His knees were deeply sunk into the ground, and the flower petals floated around Blue Sky Red's body, making him appear very miserable. "Your honor. Go." There were 2 seconds between these 2 words. If it was in the past, it would have been at least 1 minute. However, judging from Blue Sky Red's tone, it seemed like he was in great pain when he said those 2 words. This was the most evil curse that came from his race, the curse that caused Blue Sky Red to be unable to speak continuously. The moment he spoke, his soul would be burned. He might even die. Yi Hua looked at Blue Sky Red, who was kneeling on the ground. Yi Hua's expression was still gloomy, but he didn't say anything. After finished speaking those 2 words, Blue Sky Red's forehead was already filled with sweat, and even his tiny eyes were bloodshot, and his entire body was trembling. I like Yi Hua. Blue Sky Red was basically roaring at the top of his lungs. Those 2 words represented his love for Yi Hua that had lasted for over 10,000 years. At the same time, those 2 words were also burning Blue Sky Red's soul. Fine cracks appeared on his bronze-colored skin, and golden flames were burning within those cracks. Blue Sky Red lowered his head and clenched his fists tightly, enduring the pain of the curse. All of this is worth it. For some reason, some people started to admire this ugly man. Although they didn't know why he was in pain, his courage was commendable. When Yi Hua heard Blue Sky Red's confession, she was completely stupefied. Why would Blue Sky Red like me? I actually don't know about it at all. Lai Gu was also very shocked. I have been pursuing Yi Hua for a year, and I have never even seen Blue Sky Red before. I am completely unable to feel any hostility from Blue Sky Red. However, today you came over and said that you like my wife. Are you crazy? Right now, Blue Sky Red was indeed crazy. Yi Hua was very shocked. This Blue Sky Red actually likes Yi Hua, and even came to snatch Blue Sky Red's wife without any regard for his life. I remember that in the past, Lai Gu liked Brett too, but Brett liked Ju Tian. After Lai Gu realized this, he didn't continue pursuing Yi Hua. However, this Blue Sky Red was clearly unwilling to give up. Blue Sky Red, do you want to die? Kai Yun shouted out coldly, and concern could be seen within her eyes. She knew the consequences of Blue Sky Red's actions. Blue Sky Red was basically using his life to confess. Flag, Master. Let subordinate finish speaking. Blue Sky Red said gravely. Along with Blue Sky Red's words, the cracks on his skin gradually expanded, and those eerie golden flames actually started burning out from his skin, causing everyone to feel extremely terrified. Chapter 736. Li Hun saw the flames under Cong Kong Hong's skin and said absent-mindedly, This is a mystical flame." Everyone at the table frowned at Li Hun's words, and when Yi Hua saw it, he revealed a surprised expression. Previously, he heard from Yi Zizi that the Sky Crimson was a ball of fire. He thought that it was just an ordinary elemental fire. He never would have thought that Sky Red's true form was actually a ball of deviant fire, and this deviant fire was currently devouring his true form, the life form of the heavenly flame. This is a race that Yi Hua has never seen before. No wonder I heard from Kai Yun that this Blue Sky Red is the leader of the 5 flags. At this moment, Moonlight finally spoke. "Little Red, stop talking." Yue Hua shouted at Cong Kong Hong. Over the past 10,000 years, Yu Hua had treated Song Konghong as a close friend, a good friend who could be said to be sincere. However, she had never thought that they would develop into a couple. This was not a problem of Blue Sky Red's ugliness. It was a matter of whether she liked him or not. If she really liked him, Yue Hua wouldn't mind pursuing him. They were just good friends. But now that Song Konghong had broken this relationship, their relationship would probably be strained. After all, everything can be said in private. His honor is presiding over my wedding, and it's even my wedding day. Isn't this the same as ruining things? The main point was still the kind of reckless destruction. It was equivalent to saying that if you didn't come with me, I would die in front of you. It was extremely extreme. However, if one were to look at the problem from Song Konghong's point of view, then the situation would be completely different. He was not trying to blackmail Yu Hua. He just wanted to speak his mind, no matter what the outcome would be. Because he had been holding it in for over 10,000 years. Hearing that Yu Hua seemed to be concerned about Blue Sky Red, Lai Gu felt a bit uncomfortable in his heart. After all, Yue Hua was the woman he liked. Which man could stand his woman getting involved with another man? Although Lai Gu was a little angry right now, it was not to the extent where he would lose his rationality and blame Yu Hua. What do you mean? Yi Hua asked gravely. Yu Hua immediately prostrated herself on the ground and said respectfully, Your Honor, Blue Sky Red is a kind of curse that one is born with. One's speech cannot be coherent, and if one's speech is coherent, the deviant fire within one's body will cause a backlash. A deep look could be seen on Yi Hua's face. The curse that seemed to be simple was actually the most vicious one. He couldn't even finish his sentence. Who could endure such a curse? No wonder Song Konghong spoke so slowly. It was because of the curse. Yu Hua, I am asking you, do you know about this matter? Don't lie to me. Yi Hua questioned coldly. If Yu Hua knew. Before I settle my personal matters, I agreed to Lai Gu's marriage proposal. This is a kind of deception. It was better not to have such a woman. Your Honor, subordinate doesn't know. If subordinate knows, I will definitely tell you clearly. Yu Hua said sincerely. Hearing what his wife said, Lai Gu slightly heaved a sigh of relief. So it turns out that Yu Hua doesn't know about it. Then it must be Song Konghong's wishful thinking. Everyone finally learned the truth. They suddenly realized that Song Konghong, who was kneeling on the ground, was very pitiful. He was still suffering from the searing pain. This was the burning of an exceptional flame. It was not something an ordinary person could endure. At that time, when Yi Hua was fighting against Yi Zizi, Yi Zizi directly fainted from the heat. Now, Blue Sky Red was still holding on. This kind of infatuated man caused the females in Voidless Realm to exclaim in admiration. Although he looks ugly, his heart is good. In actuality, Song Konghong's facial features weren't very bad. The main point was that other people's facial features were scattered, while his facial features were squeezed together. His eyes were also very small, and if he were to go out at night, he would definitely scare people to death. Hearing what Yu Hua said, Yi Hua nodded his head. Lai Gu, who was at the side, helped Yu Hua up and asked with concern, Are you all right? Lai Gu, I'm sorry. Yu Hua felt that she had to take responsibility for such a thing. She made her husband lose face. Lai Gu laughed. It's fine as long as I explain it clearly. Towards Lai Gu's magnanimity, Yu Hua felt that she didn't misjudge Lai Gu. Regarding this farce, Yi Hua was also very helpless. Not punishing Song Konghong doesn't seem to be a bad idea. As for punishing Song Konghong, this Song Konghong is also a sentimental person. For the sake of the love of his heart, he didn't hesitate to let the exceptional flame backfire on him. Exceptional flames aren't anything fun. Song Konghong, you have also heard what I said just now. I am also a magnanimous person, but I cannot let you off lightly. You will properly reflect on yourself for 3 years in South Wuxia realm. This punishment was undoubtedly the lightest punishment, and it was basically the same as not punishing Song Konghong at all. In any case, Song Konghong had been staying in South Wuxia realm all this while. Kai Yun hurriedly gave his thanks. Your honor has bestowed blessings upon me. This subordinate cannot thank you enough. I haven't finished. However, just when everyone thought that the farce was over, Song Konghong spoke again. It was another 5 words, but the cracks on his skin were getting bigger and bigger. Even the golden doubt was coming out. The temperature at the scene rose sharply. You can't afford to offend an honest man. When Kai Yun heard this, he wanted to kick someone. In the past, no one chased after Yue Hua, and you didn't chase after her. Then, when Yue Hua was chased by someone, you still didn't chase after her. Now that Yue Hua is going to get married, you come here and act like a madman. However, everyone was curious as to what Song Kong Hong had to say. Since such an infatuated man had to endure the pain, they decided to let him finish. In the past, Yi Hua felt that a man who was infatuated with love was a sign of weakness. But now, he didn't feel that way anymore. At that time when I was in conflict with Qingya and the others, I was also like that. Only someone who is deeply in love would be like that. The scariest thing was to fall in love with someone you shouldn't love. Speak. If you're done, get out of this sovereign's sight. No matter what, this Song Kong Hong still dared to offend the Supreme Overlord. The Supreme Overlord naturally didn't have a good expression on his face. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji thought that Yi Hua was going to fly into a rage again. But this time, Yi Hua didn't fly into a rage and even let Song Kong Hong finish speaking. This was rather surprising. Lai Gu was changing. Wasn't Yi Hua also changing? He was becoming more and more humane. Enduring the burning of doubt, Song Kong Hong slowly stood up. Every single movement of his seemed to be able to cause this 2 meters tall giant to fall down. Song Kong Hong had also heard Yue Hua's words just now, and this undoubtedly gave Song Kong Hong another ruthless stab in his heart. However, this time, Song Kong Hong didn't cower. This was just like that sentence. I, Song Kong Hong, am a famous person. Not to mention, I like your wife. Song Kong Hong finally saw Yue Hua, who was wearing a wedding dress. Yue Hua is truly beautiful today. So beautiful that I feel suffocated. During the past month, how could I not have imagined myself wearing a groom's attire, tightly holding onto Yue Hua's hand, and saying words of protecting her? However, today, I am not the groom. I am just a person who made his honor and flag master lose face. Yue Hua. This was the first time that Song Kong Hong called out Yue Hua's full name. Although Song Kong Hong's appearance was ugly, his slightly magnetic voice was exceptionally pleasant to the ears. Adding on to the atmosphere, Song Kong Hong sounded very miserable. Some of Voidless Realm's little girls were moved to tears. What a man who is infatuated with love. If there is a man who treats me like this, I will not hesitate to marry that man. However, the crack on Song Kong Hong's body became bigger once again. Asking for votes. Chapter 737. Kai Yun didn't stop Song Kong Hong this time. Some things can only be relieved if they are spoken out. If they are kept in their hearts, something bad will happen. And looking at Yu Hua, it seems like, sigh. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have acted in the first place. Yu Hua, who was wearing a white wedding dress, looked at Song Kong Hong, who was not far away. As a friend, Yu Hua was worried for Song Kong Hong, but she was already Lai Gu's wife today. Therefore, Yu Hua didn't want to see Song Kong Hong suffer like this. In terms of time, it was 10,000 years and 1 year. This was a very terrifying difference. However, when the person that was fated to appear, it had nothing to do with time. The entire place was silent as they listened to the words of this infatuated man. Yi Hua let out a breath, then waved his hand, and an ice-cold mist enveloped Song Kong Hong, reducing his pain by a bit. As a leader, one must have dignity. One must also have compassion. Only then would one be able to convince his subordinates. Song Kong Hong also felt the chilliness on his body, and he thanked his honor for letting him finish speaking. I feel very inferior, because I look ugly and speak slowly. Everyone who sees me will reveal fear. Yu Hua, you are the first girl to speak to me. You didn't look down on me. I. Speaking up to hear, Song Kong Hong's voice began to tremble intensely. Because he spoke too much, the deviant fire on his body became even more vigorous, as if it was going to burn Song Kong Hong. Yi Hua didn't want Song Kong Hong to suffer a backlash from himself. After all, Song Kong Hong was a humanoid deviant fire, and it was worth studying. Thus, Yi Hua took out a set of profound ice armor from his storage ring and placed it on Song Kong Hong's body. This set of armor was able to slightly resist against the deviant fire, but it wouldn't be able to last for too long. Although Song Kong Hong's words were intermittent, The meaning that he was trying to express was clear. Towards such an ugly man, it was normal for him to feel inferior. For a girl to take the initiative to talk to him, this was a kind of charity for him. This was a form of charity for him. Under such circumstances, how could Sky Hong not like Moonlight Flower? Looking at Sun Fong, even she was moved. Sun Fong felt that Song Kong Hong was truly pitiful. The only girl that he talked to is going to marry someone else today. Who else would talk to him in the future? Everyone present suddenly felt that Yue Hua on the stage was a scumbag. How could she not want such a good man? This was the first time that Yu Hua heard these words, and she was very surprised. I didn't expect that I have such an existence in Xiao Hong's heart. Some misunderstandings were accumulated over a long period of time. Furthermore, Sky Red had been a coward for 10,000 years, making it even worse. If he chased after her for 10,000 years, he would make a girl feel dead. In the beginning, Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji felt that Sky Hong was here to cause trouble. However, right now they no longer thought so. This was a very stupid man, so stupid that people could not bear to see this scene. Lai Gu was also shocked by this man in front of him. If this matter didn't happen today, perhaps Yu Hua would have been his wife. Fortunately, it didn't happen in the past, but today. Song Kong Hong, you are a brave man. I, Lai Gu, admire you. However, Yu Hua is now my wife. I will treat her well for the rest of my life. Other men can forget about touching her. White Bones and the others who were standing below the stage were also very depressed. If you had said these words earlier, you and Yue Hua would have had a child. After putting on the profound ice armor, Sky Hong looked much better. However, it could be seen that the shiny platinum profound ice armor was showing signs of turning red. This meant that the abnormal flame was currently corroding the cold air that the profound ice armor was emitting. No matter what, the profound ice armor was a prehistoric artifact that Yi Hua had collected, and it would at least be able to last for 1 minute under the influence of the abnormal flame. Firmness blossomed out from Song Kong Hong's small eyes. Yu Hua, if there comes a day when you remember who had liked you before, that person would definitely be me. If there comes a day when I no longer like you, that person would definitely be me. These were the most complete words that Sky Hong had ever said in his entire life, and they were also the most sincere words. Even if Yu Hua were to get married today, Sky Hong would still like her. This heart of his would never change, unless he died. Crack! The prehistoric artifact, profound ice armor, suddenly let out a loud sound, and cracks actually appeared on the surface of the armor. The entire armor suddenly exploded, and Sky Hong's body was instantly enveloped by the abnormal flame. A terrifying scream of pain burst out from Sky Hong's throat, and the golden abnormal flame rushed straight into the sky of Voidless Realm, forming a golden pillar of fire. Although the scene was very spectacular, everyone's heart was heavy. Many girls were sobbing, and even Zishan was crying in Yi Hong's embrace. Because Sky Hong's matter made Zishan think of her and Yi Hong's experiences. They were also husband and wife that had been tempered through life and death situations. Regarding what Sky Hong said just now, it was also very moving. Although it was a bit silly, it was also a type of obsession towards liking someone. That was why obsession was a very scary thing. It could allow a person to become strong, but it could also instantly destroy a person. Looking at the abnormal flame that was rushing into the sky, Yi Hua's brows tightly wrinkled. This can't go on. Just as Yi Hua was thinking of how to deal with the situation, Yu Hua suddenly stretched out her delicate hand, and a pillar of water suddenly attacked towards Sky Hong. Such a scene caused everyone to exclaim in admiration. This man is fire. And that woman is water. Fire and water. They are fated to not be together. Water is Yu Hua's life form, and if she were to fight against the abnormal flame like this, she would definitely be injured. However, it seemed like this was the only way to reduce the amount of the abnormal flame and allow Sky Hong to keep his life. Yu Hua! Lai Gu cried out in surprise. Because when he saw Yu Hua, he felt a bit uncomfortable. Yu Hua looked at Lai Gu and said tenderly, Lai Gu, Sky Hong is like this because of me, that's why I am doing this, can you understand me? No matter what, Sky Hong and Yu Hua were both members of Five Flags Academy. Even if they weren't husband and wife, they were still comrades and friends. How could Yu Hua possibly watch as Sky Hong was being devoured by the abnormal flame? Lai Gu let out a heavy breath. I understand. Lai Gu, Thank you for being able to understand me. Yu Hua, you are my wife now, there is no need to be so polite, right? I won't be polite to you in the future. Yu Hua smiled gently, then began suppressing the terrifying abnormal flame with a serious look. As the leader, Yi Hua definitely wouldn't sit by and do nothing, and Kai Yun was the same as well. Under the cooperation of the three of them, they were finally able to suppress the abnormal flame within Sky Hong's body. However, that strong body of Sky Hong seemed like it was going to split apart, and it was being connected by strands of spiritual energy. Your Honor, please allow subordinate to bring him back for treatment. Kai Yun hurriedly said. Yi Hua waved his hand, indicating to the other members of South Wuxia Academy that they could return back. While carrying Sky Hong, Kwang Sha and Luo Ho disappeared from the wedding venue. Chapter 738. Lai Gu lightly hugged onto Yu Hua, while Yu Hua tightly hugged onto Lai Gu. Actually, a loose man would only become a completely different person once he had someone he liked. He would be extra considerate and take care of his wife. This could also be considered a transformation from a boy to a man. The current Lai Gu was like this, giving people a kind of steady feeling, not the kind of feeling of a prodigal son who could entrust his entire life to others. Yi Hua took a deep breath. The nature of today's wedding has completely changed. I, the Supreme Overlord, don't know how to continue. It seems that next time, I, the Supreme Overlord, should just sit down and watch. It was really unbearable to host a wedding. Cough. The wedding is just a form, everyone, don't mind these details. Having a perfect ending is the best. Yi Hua forced himself to talk awkwardly, and after he finished speaking, he felt that it was a bit low, and it didn't conform to the style of the Supreme Overlord. Your Honor! Yu Hua shouted out lightly to Yi Hua. Yi Hua went into a daze for a moment, but he still passed the microphone over to Yu Hua. Yu Hua left Lai Gu's embrace and looked at the man in front of her. I really don't dare to believe that he is a dragon. Just look at the scene earlier. If it was a dragon, the dragon would have long turned hostile and not recognized the human. However, Lai Gu didn't do so, and he was still taking care of his own thoughts. This was a dragon that cared about relationships. Towards Red Sky, Yu Hua only had a friendship of over 10,000 years. But towards Lai Gu, it was a kind of love. She handed over the rest of her life to Lai Gu, spending the rest of her life together with him. Yu Hua believed that Lai Gu is a good man. Lai Gu, I want to marry you, are you willing to marry us? Yu Hua was still very smart, and she took care of the other three women. Lai Gu was very excited, because Yu Hua said that she wants to marry him and become his wife. It was worth it. Everything was worth it. I'm willing. Lai Gu let out a long roar, and faintly, a dragon's roar could be faintly heard as it shook the sky. Bang bang bang. Under Wei Chang's control, fireworks blossomed in the sky of Voidless Realm. Suddenly, Yi Hua snapped his fingers. Voidless Realm could be seen gradually being enveloped by darkness. Meanwhile, Yi Hua walked down the stage and tightly hugged onto Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji. In actuality, Song Kong Hong's words just now had touched Yi Hua's heart. Back then, this sovereign was also a street rat, the kind that everyone would beat up on seeing. I never thought that such a day would come, nor did I have any extravagant hopes. However, the heavens are not unkind to me. My beautiful wife, my adorable child, and my loyal subordinates have all been given to me. I, the Supreme Overlord, am simply too outstanding. I love the two of you. Yi Hua hugged onto his two wives and said slowly while looking at the beautiful fireworks in the sky. Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze for a moment, then immediately after, they smiled. This moment was truly too blissful. We love you too. It was very rare for Yi Hua to talk about love, but when the atmosphere was right, he couldn't help but say it out. At this moment, Brett was hugging absolute heaven in his arms as he looked at the fireworks in the sky. Just now, absolute heaven had remained silent. He seemed to have seen himself in sky red. Only when he lost something would he know how to cherish it. Losing Brett at that time was indeed very painful, but fortunately, he exchanged his life for it. Lifting his head slightly to look at Brett, absolute heaven suddenly hugged Brett's face and kissed him. Brett was stunned for a moment, and then he smiled. It sure isn't easy to be able to be together with absolute heaven. It's a pity that Sky Red can't be together with Yu Hua. I hope that Sky Red will be able to meet a girl who truly likes him in the future, because Sky Red is a handsome man in his heart. Face lovers, please take a detour. When the fireworks finished, Voidless Realm lit up once again, and Yihua shouted out loudly, "Send them to the bridal chamber, then make a scene in the bridal chamber." The entire place was filled with shouts, especially that "make a scene in the bridal chamber." It simply exploded. The interlude just now was indeed depressing, but under Yihua's guidance, the atmosphere quickly became better, and the wedding proceeded as per normal. After making a scene in the bridal chamber, the newlyweds naturally had to be given some space. Lai Gu's 3 wives were still very sensible, and they gave this moment to Yuhua. After all, it was their first time doing it, and Yuhua naturally had to do it in a good environment. Lai Gu and Yuhua could be seen sitting on the bed. Lai Gu's fingers were trembling. In the past, he would often just directly pounce onto the other party and use all of his strength to do it, not caring about the other party's feelings. However, when facing Yuhua, Lai Gu had all kinds of worries, fearing that he would hurt Yuhua. Right now, Yuhua was also very nervous. She slightly lowered her head and waited for Lai Gu. However, 30 minutes passed by. Lai Gu still did not move, and was currently letting his imagination run wild. However, Yuhua could not take it anymore and asked lightly, "Lai Gu, is it inconvenient for you today?" Hearing Yuhua's question, Lai Gu was stupefied. "Inconvenient?" No. Lai Gu hurriedly said, feeling that his IQ was not enough. "Then why are you?" Yuhua asked shyly. "How can I let a girl start this kind of thing?" Lai Gu hurriedly explained, "It's not that, I am a bit nervous, I will go to the toilet first." Without waiting for Yuhua to speak, Lai Gu slipped away, leaving behind Yuhua, who was sitting stupidly on the big red bed. On the night of the wedding, the groom used the excuse of peeing to abandon his beautiful wife. This is too awesome. Lai Gu stood outside the door and gasped for breath. Why am I so nervous? This is completely not in line with my personality. After calming down for a long time, Lai Gu finally stabilized his state of mind and walked into the room again. Yuhua could be seen lying on the bed, and her wedding dress had already fallen to the side. Lai Gu swallowed his saliva, very excited. I am finally going to offer my goddess. Who would be able to understand this kind of excitement? Mustering up his courage, Lai Gu walked to the side of the bed and saw Yuhua looking at him shyly. However, just as Lai Gu was about to say something, his eyeballs almost popped out. Another Yuhua could be seen appearing on the blanket. This. Not done yet. Immediately after, another Yuhua appeared. Lai Gu felt that his heart was about to jump out. Yuhua truly understands me too well. Yuhua, who was in the middle, could be heard asking shyly, "Lai Gu, is 3 enough? F***K. I am actually able to marry such a sensible wife. I did not waste my 1 year of chasing after you." Enough. Lai Gu didn't know what to say anymore. The 3 Yuhua could be seen sitting up on the bed and carefully undressing their husbands. Lai Gu was stupefied from start to finish. This is the first time I saw Yuhua acting like this. I am very embarrassed. However, I was pushed down by them. So exciting. I feel that I am even more blessed than his honor. Needless to say, Yihua was indeed a little bit envious of Yuhua. Yuhua is not an ordinary woman. Marrying one of her is equivalent to marrying 100 women. Who would have the ability to do that? Lai Gu is the real winner in life. The wedding finally ended, and everyone's lives returned back to normal. Those who were not strong enough would start training, those who wanted to give birth to children would use a bit more strength, and those who wanted to drink more tonics. However, to Yihua, the boring days had arrived again. I really want to die. Chapter 739. Since he was going back, he had to make a series of plans. Plan my ass. Do I even need a plan? If you're not satisfied, then let's fight. I have so many powerful subordinates, so why should I be afraid of those people from the Kangluo continent? 4 years later. At the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, Qi Shuwen was currently sitting in his dragon palace and looking at a piece of jade tablet in his hand. This was a gift from the system a year ago. According to the system, this thing could lead to a vast world where experts were as common as clouds. It was a world suitable for cultivation. After Qi Shuwen obtained this jade token, he did not rush to leave. Instead, he thought about it for a year. What were the benefits of leaving and staying? Although this place was small, at least there was a place for him to stay. If he went there, he would not know what was going on and would be beaten to death. But after a year of consideration, Qi Shuwen decided to go to a wider world. There is no end to training. The resources here are more or less all used up, but they are still too scarce. The most important thing was, for such a powerful expert to appear in such a small place, Voidless Realm and South Wuxia were simply unable to contend against such a powerful expert. Thus, it would be better for Voidless Realm and South Wuxia to go to other places and dominate the world. Looking at the jade token in his hand, Qi Shuwen frowned. He crushed the jade tablet. Qi Shuwen and the entire dragon palace could be seen suddenly disappearing at the bottom of the sea, as if they had never appeared before. In a mountain village in Thailand, Xian Ba slowly exhaled and opened his eyes. The changes of 5 years had made Xian Ba look more masculine. The muscles on his body were very uniform and had an explosive effect. Master, we should be able to return now. Xian Ba felt that he was almost done with his cultivation. He couldn't always hide abroad, right? That would be too unmanly. We're going back, but we're not returning to our country, said Feng Lao faintly. Then where are we going? Xian Ba was puzzled. Old Feng said in a deep voice, under the highest god's realm, there is a vast land called Kangluo Continent. The restrictions here are still too small. You should go there to develop. Kangluo Continent? An alternate world? Xian Ba asked curiously, his eyes flashing with excitement. It seemed that Xian Ba was also a very competitive person. You can understand it this way. That place is full of danger, but it's also full of opportunities. However, it's just a stepping stone for you. Old Feng's words made Xian Ba very excited. He wanted to become stronger. At that time, he would not be afraid of anyone, nor would he be threatened by anyone. Master, I'll listen to you. All right. Xinba, you cultivate well. Master will protect and escort you. Thank you, Master. Master's enmity is the disciple's enmity, as expected of my disciple. The two of us will go to the Kangluo continent. As soon as Crazy Elder stopped speaking, Xian Ba's figure disappeared from the small run-down house. In the office building on the top floor of the Peace Association, Lord Jiu was playing with Xiaobao. This was the golden retriever that Bai Cixin had bought back then. It was now 5 years old, and its golden fur was shining. Lord Jiu had fed it well. Lil Bao, it's been 5 years. My Peace Association has been going downhill. Sometimes I really want to give up. Lord Jiu rubbed Lil Bao's head. Lil Bao looked at his master and stuck out his tongue. Xiaobao, how about we change a place to live? It's really tiring here. Lord Jiu let out a deep breath. He seemed to be very tired and wanted to change a place to live. Woof. Lord Jiu laughed. Xiaobao, do you have the same idea? How about we leave now? Let's go on a trip when we want to. Woof, Lord Jiu patted on Xiaobao's head, then took out the Cosmos sack that Qing Tian gave him back then. Within the Cosmos sack, there was a small box, and within the box, there was a piece of paper and a mirror. Lord Jiu had seen that piece of paper 5 years ago, and it had been destroyed long ago. The rough meaning of the piece of paper was that this mirror was a teleportation artifact that could only be used once. As for where it could be teleported to, Lord Jiu had no idea. Because Lord Jiu was now a loner, and if one were to talk about the person that was closest to him, it would only be Xiaobao. Life is very gloomy and boring. I might as well go to another world and take a look. I might as well bring Xiaobao out to relax. Whether or not I can come back is no longer important. Lord Jiu placed the copper mirror on the office table and placed it towards himself. Afterward, Lord Jiu carried Xiaobao on his body. This little fellow has become quite a bit heavier. After stroking Xiaobao for a bit, Lord Jiu stretched out his finger and injected a strand of spiritual energy into the copper mirror. The copper mirror could be seen emitting a powerful radiance, which instantly absorbed Lord Jiu and Xiaobao. The radiance gradually dispersed, and there was not a single person in the office. There was only the copper mirror on the table, and the surface of the copper mirror was already cracked. Southern Ing family. Ing Kongsher stood in front of the ancient beast, Heavy Dust Cave. Right now, his expression was very strange, and there was even a fake mustache stuck on his mouth, making him look like a man. However, today, Ing Kongsher was going to do what a man should do, and that was to challenge the ancient beast, Heavy Dust Cave. If I succeed in the challenge, I will rush to Voidless Realm and propose marriage. Who cares about life and death? The person that the Empress is going to marry back then is me, Ing Kongsher. I am the Empress's man. With a firm conviction, Ing Kongsher took the first step and slowly walked down the cave. As the coldness became stronger, Ing Kongsher started to panic a bit. Back then, Big Brother died in the cave as well. If I were to die today, I can at least give my big brother an explanation. Empress. I, Ing Kongsher, am definitely going to marry you. Walking down to the underground cave, Ing Kongsher hugged his chest with both of his hands. So cold. Upon thinking about that terrifying ancient beast, Heavy Dust Cave, I can't help but shiver a bit. I won't be stomped into meat paste by it, right? Should I go back and think about it? After all, marrying the Empress is not a small matter. I should go back and discuss it with my Lord Father. And I am still too hasty. I should go back and plan properly first. However, when Ing Kongsher turned around and prepared to leave, a bright red fingernail poked in front of Ing Kongsher, causing the entire ground to tremble. Ing Kongsher felt that his back instantly turned cold. However, at the same time when his back turned cold, there was also a wave of hot air that hit his back, bringing along a fishy smell. Right now, Ing Kongsher was panicking badly. He felt that he was going to be eaten up very soon. Who can come and save me? I, Ing Kongsher, am willing to do anything for you for my entire life. I don't want anything. God, quickly come and save me. I still don't want to die. I still haven't married the Empress. Ing Kongsher looked at the bright red fingernail that was raised up high, and it was clearly aimed towards his head. Boom! Heavy Dust Cave was a ferocious beast. It didn't have any mercy in its heart. The bright red fingernail ferociously dropped down, poking out a dent on the ground. However, when Ing Kongsher moved his fingernail away, he was very puzzled. Where is he? Long and City, Leisure Bar. Right now, Leisure Bar's business is temporarily suspended. The opening time is unknown, please look forward to it. Meanwhile, in the lobby of Leisure Bar, a chilling aura pervaded the air. Yi Hua stood in front of the bar counter and looked at his subordinates. Today is a good day. Why do I say that? Chapter 740. Standing beside Yi Hua were Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji. Of course, there was also his beautiful sister-in-law. These three women were simply so beautiful that they could kill a person. From this, it could be seen that Yi Hua's eyesight was very sharp. Out of thousands of women, he had chosen the three of them. Dong Huangli was standing at the side. Right now, Dong Huangli was already more than 8 years old, and she was quite a bit taller than before. Dong Huangli was about the same height as Yi Zizi, and Dong Huangli could already be counted as a little beauty. Dong Huangli had inherited her father's good points, and if another 10 years were to pass, Dong Huangli would definitely become a great beauty. As the younger brother, Yi Yan was already 6 years old, and he was about the same height as the older sister, Dong Huangli. Yi Yan had delicate features, and there was a smile on the corner of his mouth. Dragon Abyss. At this time, Yi Yan gave off a very strong sense of affinity, just like a neighbor's little brother. He would definitely grow up to be a warm man. Meanwhile, God Yi, who was standing behind Yi Yan, was different. Although he was only 5 years old, his little face was cold and penetrating. He was exactly the same as his father, emotionless and solemn. Yi Lu, who was next to her, was the same. She was as cold as ice, as if nothing could affect her emotions. She was really a little cold beauty. Looking at the entire team, there was no change from 5 years ago. As one of the 7 deadly sins, Yi Hua's direct subordinates stood at the very front, and even Kai Yun had to stand behind the 7 deadly sins. However, they stood according to their status. In the past 4 years, all of the subordinates' families had been harmonious. There were no outbreaks of mistresses, and they were all satisfied with their current state. Yi Hua even praised Lai Gu. During these 4 years, Lai Gu had simply become a good man of the new century. In Yi Hua's eyes, he felt that Lai Gu was only 30% hot and would definitely go and look for other women. However, the truth was not like that. From what Qingya said, right now, Lai Gu is wholeheartedly treating his 4 wives well, bringing them to play all over the world, just like an underling. Furthermore, at home, Lai Gu is cooking and cleaning. In the past, Lai Gu was like a big uncle at home, but now, ever since Lai Gu got married, he had become a typical family man. For this, Qingye even asked me to learn from Lai Gu. The Supreme Overlord immediately thought to himself, what the F***K? That very night, I will call Lai Gu to go to the bar. Who knew that Lai Gu would bring all 4 of his wives out? I really want to stew Lai Gu. Now, all the women in the team only had one thing to say to their husbands. Learn from how Lai Gu dotes on his wife. Dou Fushi was very happy that he was no longer the one who stuck his head out. However, Lai Gu had an indifferent expression on his face. So what if I dote on my wife? I like it. During these 4 years, Yuhua had also enjoyed the taste of happiness. Lai Gu was truly good to me. Just like how he was when he was pursuing me, there was no difference at all. Sometimes, he would even give me a small surprise. He truly knows how to make my wife happy. If Sky Hong had half of Lai Gu's EQ, he wouldn't have missed out on Yuhua. During the past 4 years, Song Kong Hong had been staying in South Wuxia Banner. Unless Yuhua called for a meeting, he wouldn't come out. He seemed to be studying, but who knew? At this moment, Song Kong Hong was also standing in the crowd. She seemed very calm and there was nothing unusual about her. Yuhua, who was standing behind Lai Gu, was also very normal. Actually, ever since that day, other than meeting each other in meetings, the 2 of them basically did not speak to each other. Lai Gu even generously asked Yuhua to go and guide Blue Sky Hong. It wasn't that Yuhua hadn't tried to talk to her, but Song Kong Hong wasn't willing to meet her, so this situation was created. As for Zhu Tian, he was still the same as before, lying in the bosom of his 3 wives and sleeping every day. From now on, our vacation ends. From today onwards, we will enter a state of combat readiness. Yi Hua's gaze swept across his subordinates and shouted out in a low voice. Hearing what his honor said, all of Yi Hua's subordinates revealed out their desire to fight. They were also bored to the point that they were starting to get anxious. Because right now, there wasn't anyone who would come and provoke Voidless Realm and South Wuxia Banner. If it was 1 or 2 years, it would still be fine. He felt uncomfortable all over. His honor's announcement of his return is simply too great. That place is truly a crazy world. Subordinates are willing to follow in his honor's footsteps and exterminate all evil. All of Yi Hua's subordinates kneeled on the ground and shouted out. Yi Hua nodded his head silently. This is the aura that a leader should have. Not bad. Very good. Everyone get up. Thank you, Your Honor. Yi Hua paused for a moment, then said again, let us shout out our slogan one more time. The hall immediately quietened down. Slogan? When did we have a slogan? All of Yi Hua's subordinates were stupefied. Even Qingye, who was beside Yi Hua, was puzzled. When did we have a slogan? Suddenly, Yi Zizi seemed to have thought of something and immediately shouted out. The team sure has a good idea. Following Yi Zizi's shout, everyone immediately understood what Yi Zizi meant and shouted out in unison. Do it steadily. Do a report every day. How can a team not be good? Yi Hua looked at his subordinates in astonishment, then suddenly clapped his hands and stood up. All right. All of Yi Hua's subordinates let out a sigh of relief. That scared me to death. We are going to do it according to this slogan. I hope that you all will remember this slogan. Subordinate will definitely memorize this slogan every day. Yi Hua paused for a moment, then said gravely, all right. Let the heavens see where we will land in Kangluo continent and what will be the first thing that we will do. Seize the palace. Dou Fushi shouted out excitedly. Li Hun, who was beside Dou Fushi, immediately covered her husband's mouth. It's to win people over with virtue. Li Hun laughed. Yi Hua really wanted to give a slap to Li Hun. To actually dare to say seize the palace in front of my wife. Am I that vulgar? Do I even need to seize it? Do I look like that kind of man who doesn't have any dignity? Superficial. Pedantic. What Li Hun said is right. I am going to win people over with virtue. Yi Hua said gravely. The first thought that emerged in the minds of all of Yi Hua's subordinates was, why don't they believe me? What his honor is saying right now should all be antonyms. When the time comes, I will just have to do the opposite. Subordinates that are full of brains are the most terrifying. Even Qing Yutong, who was at the side, didn't believe that Yi Hua would win people over with virtue. Every single time, he would use violence to conquer others and all kinds of threats. But, I just like this kind of brother-in-law. If a man isn't bad, women won't love him. This sentence wasn't without reason. When it came to a suitable amount of badness, women would love it to death. Just like Lai Gu and Blue Sky Hong belong to the category of honest and well-behaved people. Let's not talk too much. We will send it out now. Yi Hua could be seen slowly raising his hand. Pack. With a snap of Yi Hua's fingers, everyone in the hall disappeared. The lights of the bar gradually dimmed, and Yi Hua's vacation had ended. Now, he was waiting for his next vacation. However, everyone seemed to have forgotten about a person. Death Assassin. This skeleton that had been forgotten for close to 6 years was cautiously guarding Long Outyen. Outside the small thatched cottage, Death Assassin was currently standing at the side and watching Long Outyen train with his sword. From time to time, Death Assassin would walk up to Long Outyen to guide him. Chapter 741. Dad, Uncle Skeleton, Mom is done cooking. A chubby little man could be seen walking out of the thatched cottage and shouting. A happy smile could be seen on his little face. Meanwhile, Meng Meng, who was inside the thatched cottage, was currently carrying the dishes onto the table with a gentle smile on her face. This family of 3 was very satisfied living here. Long Outyen kept his sword and lightly let out a breath. After training with Death Assassin, only then did he realize how big of a gap there was between him and Death Assassin. He was basically not Death Assassin's opponent. If Death Assassin wanted to, he would be able to instantly kill me. This is truly terrifying. Master, come in and eat. Don't always go back to the cottage when we are eating. You are making me very embarrassed. Long Outyen hurriedly pulled Death Assassin and pulled him into the cottage. It would be fine if Long Outyen didn't pull Death Assassin, but Long Outyen unexpectedly pulled Death Assassin into the cottage. This must be heaven's will. Death Assassin doesn't need to eat. And of course, he can't eat either. Could it be that you want me to sit at the side and watch the family of 3 eat? After being pulled into the cottage by his disciple, Death Assassin could only sit down. Quickly come and taste the dishes made by my wife. It's super delicious. Long Outyen was no longer the Long Outyen from back then. He seemed to have changed into a different person. He no longer had that arrogant look, and he treated others very well. The main point was that he no longer had any thoughts of having a harem. He only wanted to accompany his wife and child. Uncle Skeleton, the dishes made by my mother are really delicious. The little fellow Long Yang said while grinning, and he even placed food on Death Assassin's bowl. Meng Meng felt embarrassed by what the father and son said. It's just plain tea and plain food. Wife, look at how modest you are. Master is not an outsider. What's more, isn't it great that Master is accompanying us to eat together? Death Assassin. However, just as Death Assassin was feeling gloomy, he suddenly felt a strange aura. It seems like he is going to leave this world. What's going on? Long Outyen felt the change in Death Assassin. Master, what's wrong? Death Assassin grabbed onto Long Outyen's wrist. A pair of hollow eyes flickered with red light, and his body seemed to be fading. Long Outyen, who was grabbed onto by Death Mage, was also fading. This is definitely because my master is going to leave this world, and as a summon product, I will leave together with my master. However, he still had to complete his master's orders. He had to watch over Long Outyen. Outyen, what happened to you? Meng Meng also grabbed her husband's arm. Dad, Mom, what happened to you too? Long Yang was frightened as he cried and shouted while hugging onto his mother. Before Long Outyen could ask, the 4 of them disappeared from the hut in an instant. The dishes on the table were still steaming hot, but no one would taste them again. Where is this place? Yi Hua asked gravely. His complexion was a bit bad, because this place was different from what I imagined it to be. Looking at the surroundings, Zhang Xian saw that the trees were withered and there was no green grass on the ground. There were no fresh flowers to welcome the arrival of the main body. There were only bone-chilling astral winds. Yi Hua's words caused all of Yi Hua's subordinates to be stupefied. Zi Shan and Li Hun were both women from the god's realm. They had never been to the enormous Kangluo continent before, so they did not know about it. Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji were even more clueless. Dong Huang Li and Yi Yan were already happily running around and playing. Yi Lu and God Ye's eyes were filled with excitement. They knew why their father wanted to wait for 5 years. It was because he wanted them to grow up. This meant that his father was about to give him a mission. I am so excited. I must definitely complete the mission that my father gave me, and let my father know that I am capable of carrying the entire Yi family on my shoulders. The few people from the 7 deadly sins didn't know where they were either. Because the place that I fought with his honor at that time is quite beautiful, unlike this desolate place. This place is too miserable. Wei Chong said respectfully. Your honor, please quell your anger. From the environment here, it can be seen that the place that we appeared in should be in the north, and this place doesn't have any grass or trees, so we should be in the west direction of the north. Wei Chong was guessing based on his own experience. Hearing Wei Chong saying that it was in the west direction of the north, Yi Hua was starting to believe what Wei Chong said. The northwest is very vast, to the point that you start to doubt your life. Furthermore, the northwest is a lawless region, and it is very chaotic. Every sect controls a land that is 10,000 miles wide, and the nobles that are within this region have to pay protection fees to the sect. In Kangluo continent, the sect is bigger than the royal family. I am planning to become the emperor, so who the hell is going to ask me for protection fees? I will make you feel despair to the point that you start to doubt your life. Baigu. Subordinate is here. Go and take a look at the surroundings. Yi Hua's words paused for a moment. Just a moment ago, I was about to say that I am going to snatch the throne. Is there any family that I can stay in? Yi Hua said faintly. My 2 wives are quite shrewd. However, Yi Hua still sent a voice transmission to Baigu. Go and take a look at the nearest imperial city. Yes. Baigu, who was in the air, immediately disappeared. It must be said, Baigu is indeed an expert in intelligence gathering. Looking at my subordinates, they seem to be very bored. Let's barbecue first. Yi Hong and the other tools have been brought, right? Yi Hua said faintly. Your honor, I have brought them. Go and arrange it then. Yes. Your honor. Yi Hong and LV Liang could be seen immediately setting up the barbecue rack. Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji had a stupefied look on their faces. In the end, Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but ask, Yi Hua, are you here for revenge or are you here for barbecue? Yi Hua was currently eating skewers. It smells so good. Didn't Baigu go to scout for intelligence gathering? Let's fill our stomachs first. Hey, Do Fusher, quickly set up the tent. We will be sleeping here today. Everyone, I feel that his honor isn't here for revenge, but rather, he is here for a vacation. With the atmosphere of an outing, everyone started barbecuing. Furthermore, the wives of Lai Gu's subordinates were displaying their talents. The wives were singing, the wives were dancing. Lai Gu's 4 wives were incredible. They were able to sing and dance. Look at Lai Gu, this little man. After his 4 wives finished performing, there would be a bit of sweat on his forehead, and Lai Gu would immediately take out a napkin to wipe his sweat. What a good man. The sky gradually darkened, and in this desolate and uninhabited place, the bonfire seemed so bright. Your honor. Suddenly, Baigu's voice rang out in the air. Yi Hua placed the beer on the ground, and his subordinate stopped chatting and stood up respectfully. Yi Hua sat on the ground and asked faintly, Have you found it? Your honor, I have already found it. There is a big family that is 10,000 kilometers away from here. Yi Hua wrinkled his brows. The closest family? Yes, your honor. Yi Hua originally planned to find the closest family to see who was the most unlucky. From the looks of it, this family was the most unlucky one. Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji smiled bitterly as they shook their heads. Husband, this is really... Continue acting. Let's see how long you can continue acting. Chapter 742. Yi Hua pondered for a while, then looked at the sky. It was already getting late. Rest here today. Let me think about it. Yes. The subordinates began to return to their own tents. Due to the soundproofing problem, the male friends had to endure it. After all, it was very embarrassing if their wives' moans were heard. Yi Hua seemed to have thought of this problem as well, thus he added on, Tonight, all of you pay attention, keep quiet. As soon as he said this, his subordinates instantly understood. All of the women were endlessly bashful. His honor is very mischievous right now, and the 2 madams don't even care about him. Tang Wei, who was in the team, wanted to, but it was a pity that the blockhead beside her didn't care about her. In the entire team, She was the only one who was still a virgin. Actually, there were also a few virgins. For example, Sun Fang, Brett, and of course, Qing Yutong, all of them were waiting to be. It was really hard on these girls. Yi Hua naturally brought his 2 wives into the tent. Right now, the children had long since gone to sleep by themselves, and there was no need for their parents to accompany them. Towards coming to this unfamiliar world, Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji were both very excited. Hundreds and thousands of questions came out of their mouths, causing Yi Hua to not be able to think at ease. If anything were to happen in the future, the 2 of you would have to take the blame. Gradually, Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji fell asleep while nestling in Qing Ya's embrace. Yi Hua, who was hugging onto the most beautiful woman in the world, didn't have the mood to sleep at all. Returning to this world once again made Yi Hua so excited that he wanted to shout out. However, in front of his subordinates, he was too embarrassed to do so. Therefore, he used the barbecue performance to calm himself down. Hearing the sound of the wind coming from outside, Yi Hua let out a breath, then slowly closed his eyes and went to sleep. In the past, I could continuously not sleep, but right now, sleeping has already become a daily habit. Should I put on a facial mask to replenish my hydration? A slight groan suddenly sounded out, and Yi Hua, who was about to fall asleep, suddenly opened his eyes. Which bastard couldn't help but mess with his wife? I have already emphasized it so much, yet you still want to do it. Don't you know this is a group activity? You can't even tolerate this. Yi Hua really wanted to rush out and give the harshest criticism. Although his voice was very, very low, probably everyone heard it. A few black lines had already appeared on Yi Hua's forehead. Which shameless person is it? Don't you know to cover your wife's mouth? Even a soundproof spell would be good. In Cracked Bones' tent, Lai Gu was hugging Wen Xia with his left arm and Yu Hua with his right arm, while Yu Hua and Bai Xiaozhen were sleeping beside him. Lai Gu's mouth was slightly twitching. The faces of the 4 wives were slightly red, because they also heard the sound. His honor is really too much. He doesn't allow us to act recklessly, yet he himself is acting recklessly. Lai Gu said in a low voice. Yu Hua said softly, maybe it's someone else? Just now, his honor had strictly forbade us from doing anything. Who would dare to do that? Lai Gu pursed his lips. His honor is truly unable to stay calm for the entire night. Maybe it's a soul-detaching technique. The other one beside him laughed tenderly. Maybe Zishan. Bai Xiaozhen followed up and said. It seemed that in the team, these 2 women were famous for pestering their husbands. But inside Floating World's tent, Wandering Soul's ears were stuffed with white napkins to stop all the seductive sounds because he was afraid that he would not be able to resist it. Dou Fusher rolled his eyes. His honor is too bad. He asked his subordinates to be quiet, yet he himself. Inside Yi Hong's tent, Zishan used her clothes to cover her face. Yi Hong was the same as well. That voice was too devilish. The 4 little fellows were sleeping very soundly, and thus, they didn't hear anything. When everyone walked out of their tent the next day, their eye circles were a bit dark. It was clear that they didn't sleep well. Yi Hua sized up his subordinates. Just who was the one who did it for the entire night? Meanwhile, when the subordinates looked at his honor, they couldn't help but admire him in their hearts. Because Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji slept very early yesterday, they didn't hear what Yi Hua said. But today, they discovered that the gaze that Yi Hua's subordinates were looking at them with was different. I do not wish for what happened last night to happen again. Yi Hua said gravely. That person is simply shameless. The subordinates felt that his honor was the one who complained first. It was clearly us, and even his honor's wife was led astray by his honor. However, as men, they were still able to understand his honor. Just that, this kind of behavior doesn't conform to his honor's style. I will personally go and take a look today. All of you, defend the battlefield. Subordinate obeys. Regarding the future headquarters, Yi Hua wanted to personally go and take a look. He mustn't be careless about this. Since it was going to be a big family, the area that the headquarters occupied should be very large. The 300-meter-tall city wall should not be lacking, and the dazzling and magnificent palace should not be lacking. The flourishing streets definitely should not be lacking, because only flourishing would be able to display my ruling power. Yi Hua, I will go with you. Dong Huang Baiji said tenderly at the side. All right, Qing Ya, you stay behind and look after the children, don't let them run around. Yi Hua warned. Although he wasn't really worried about the children's safety, as a father, he still had to be concerned about the children. "And the two of you be careful," Qingye replied obediently. Yi Hua didn't dawdle and brought the empress to take a look at the future palace. That palace was going to be a great place in history. However, when he saw the big family, Yi Hua's expression became bad. 300-meter-tall city wall? I am thinking too much. The city wall is constructed using simple round wood. Even the city gate is made of wood. I am thinking too much about the flourishing streets. The streets were cold and cheerless, and occasionally, a figure would appear and quickly run into a house, leaving behind deep snow on the ground. Palace? Those are just a few dilapidated houses. The magnificence of the palace turned pitch black, and you call this a big family? Big my ass. Yi Hua, let's go down and take a look. Dong Huang Baiji suggested. How would Yi Hua have the mood to enter the city to take a look? This should be the smallest imperial city. As long as a wave of monsters attacked the city, this small imperial city would disappear from the map. Those people seemed to be leaving in a panic. Dong Huang Baiji pointed at the crowd that was leaving the city hurriedly and said. Yi Hua let out a breath. I didn't expect that my luck would be so bad. To be able to pick such a place right from the start, I am truly unlucky. Didn't they say that there would be nothing in this magnificent city? After landing on the ground with the empress, the two of them stepped on the deep snow and slowly walked towards the city gate. Towards this noble person who suddenly appeared, the people that were preparing to leave sized up the two of them with curious gazes. The man was extraordinarily handsome, and the woman was so beautiful that it could make one feel suffocated. This kind of man and woman, with a single look, one could tell that they were sent down by some sect to gain experience. One cannot afford to offend them. The mink coat that Yi Hua was wearing was even more extravagant. Chapter 743. There weren't even any strong men. Most of them were old, weak, women, and children. Dong Huang Baiji was finally unable to hold back the doubt in her heart, and asked an old man who was sweeping the snow in front of his house. Hello, why are all the people here leaving the city, and I don't see many men? The old man raised his wrinkled face, took a look at Dong Huang Baiji, and went into a slight daze. From the looks of it, he was shocked by Dong Huang Baiji's beauty as well. After all, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji's beauty could be said to be able to attract both big and small people, and anyone who saw them would be shocked. Little girl, it's not safe here. Leave quickly. The old man gently persuaded her. He withdrew his gaze and continued to sweep the snow on the ground. Just what is going on here? Dong Huang Baiji couldn't help but ask again. The old man straightened his slightly bowed waist and said in a low voice, It's winter, and the evil witches often appear. The strong men in the city have been captured, and the monsters appear after winter. In the past, the Duchy of Gouda sent out troops to suppress them, but in the past 3 years, there has been no one. It's the royal family who organized the resistance. However, right now, even the royal family has run away, and this Lingtai kingdom is about to be destroyed. After finished speaking, the old man took a deep breath. I have grown up here, and I don't have the strength to run anymore. Looking at the old man's aged back as he walked into the house, Dong Huang Baiji let out a breath. Compared to this place, the people on earth are much more fortunate. At least he didn't have to be afraid. Yi Hua, how about this place be our headquarters? Dong Huang Baiji held onto her husband's arm and said. Yi Hua didn't really like this place. Although this place was big, it was too simple and crude, and it would be very troublesome to rebuild this place. Do you like this place? Yi Hua asked curiously. Compared to liking them, Dong Huang Bai would rather help these helpless people to have a good environment to live in. If they are under Yi Hua's protection, they should be able to obtain protection. In any case, Yi Hua was also planning to look for a territory. Not only would he be able to help others here, no one would snatch his territory away from him, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Will you please? Without the children by her side, the queen began to shake her husband's arm and act like a spoiled child. Yi Hua was helpless. I can't stand my 2 women acting coquettishly the most, especially the empress. Let's go back and make a plan then. Yi Hua said faintly. Let's go back to this place then. I, the supreme overlord, am here to be an emperor, so I must have the dignity of an emperor. It's just that, this starting point is too low. This place can no longer be called a country, it's more or less like a small village, and I, the supreme overlord, am just a village head. F*ck me. After returning to the campsite, Yi Hua began passing down his orders. As for the sound he heard last night, it shouldn't have been made by his subordinates. The Miko-sama was grabbing men, and it was obvious that she was trying to extract yang qi. He was already used to this kind of evil technique. As for how to become the emperor of Lingtai Kingdom, Yi Hua couldn't force himself to do it. I have to make those people beg me to become the emperor, and then, I will reluctantly become the emperor. We need actors for this. The enemy actors seem to be ready. I heard the old man say that monsters are attacking the city, so I shall take this opportunity to display my great strength. I'll let you people see that even if an ancient divine beast attacks the city, I can destroy it. The next step was to wait for the monsters to attack the city, and then move into the Lingtai Kingdom's palace. However, every night, Yi Hua and his subordinates would be able to hear that NNN sound. If it wasn't for the fact that he needed an actress, Yi Hua would have long arranged for this witch to play the role. And from the information that Yi Hua received from White Bones, he found out that the evil witch was indeed recuperating, and judging from the quantity of the evil witch, she would be coming out to recuperate very soon. More importantly, this witch is controlling a lot of rank 1 and 2 monsters. No wonder there would be monsters attacking the city. It seems like this witch is controlling the city from behind. It is a pity that this time you met me, and in the end, you are going to become the stepping stone for me to ascend to the throne. However, for you to be able to torture me for a few nights, you can be considered to be formidable, and for you to even make me keep you, you should feel fortunate. Finally, 8 days later, White Bones sent over a message. There was movement. The 8 days of camping in the wilderness caused Yi Hua and his subordinates to suffer unspeakably. Especially those who had to exercise every single day, this was practically torture to them. After hearing that the witch had taken action, White Bones really wanted to thank the witch. You finally took action. Right now, outside of Lingtai Kingdom's wooden wall, over 100 rank 1 and 2 monsters were gathered. The small ones ranged from slimes to goblins, and there were even 1 or 2 skeletons that were holding onto staffs, undead. And standing in the air was an enchanting woman. That woman was precisely the witch that the old man spoke of. Dressed in a purple robe. Her beautiful hair that was like a waterfall hung down naturally, and her slender white legs were faintly discernible. Every single movement of hers carried a seductive air, and although she was smiling, it was a cold and eerie smile. On top of the wooden wall stood a few old men that were in their 70s and 80s. Their bodies were covered in worn-out armor, and their hands were holding onto the most ordinary bows and arrows. The quiver that they carried on their backs only had a few arrows, and it was unknown whether or not they would be able to hit the enemy. The old man that was sweeping the snow could be seen as the leader of the group, and on his waist was a machete. His eyes were fixated on the monsters that were not far away from him, and of course, he was also fixated on the witch who was in the air. Raise the flag! The old man shouted loudly. On top of the wooden wall, 30+ old men could be seen raising the flag of Lingtai Kingdom, and the scarlet flag fluttered on top of the wooden wall. Very quickly, the pure white snowflakes dyed the scarlet flag with a layer of white crystals. Draw the bow! The old man shouted again. The 30 old men pulled the bow in their hands into a full moon shape. Looking at the old men on the wooden wall, Miko-sama was amused and shouted in a sweet voice, "Old men, open the gate and I will spare your lives." You crazy Miko-sama. God will deal with you one day. The old man shouted. Maybe it was because he hadn't drawn the bow for a long time, his right hand was trembling, and he accidentally shot the arrow. The arrow glided in the white air in a beautiful arc and firmly inserted into the ground. It was still 10 feet away from the target. Haha, Miko-sama couldn't help but laugh, laughing at these old men who overestimated themselves. Such ordinary people dared to block her way. The old man looked at the arrow, and his heart sank. The morale of the old men next to him was greatly affected, and they were very depressed. Miko-sama, today I will fight you to the death to avenge my son. The old man pulled out the machete from his waist, pointed it at Miko-sama and shouted angrily. Miko-sama stuck out her bright red tongue and licked the corner of her mouth. Old man, your son tastes good, very fragrant. You! Miko-sama stopped smiling, and a gloomy aura shrouded her face and she shouted, Kill! Hundreds of monsters rushed towards the wall, and more than 30 old men began to draw their bows and shoot arrows, but such arrows were useless, they couldn't even penetrate the slime. Chapter 744. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. The women in the city carried buckets of water, hoping to put out the raging fire. However, all of these were in vain. It was only a matter of time before the monsters rushed in. The old men shot all of the arrows and pulled out their swords, planning to have a life-and-death battle with these monsters. Live and die together with Ling Tai country. Looking at the ferocious monsters, everyone on the city wall revealed a look of despair. How good would it be if there were reinforcements at this time? Perhaps, the old men's prayers were answered by the heavens. The originally gloomy weather suddenly revealed a ray of light, and the heavy snow in the sky instantly stopped. Such a phenomenon caused the monsters to stop attacking, and even the witch was puzzled, thinking to herself that there shouldn't be any experts coming to this small place, right? That Gouda principality even abandoned this Ling Tai country, and those sects wouldn't even bother about it. Just what is this thing? The witch was puzzled, but when the old men on the city wall and all of the women in the city saw such a spectacle, they all knelt down and shouted that the heavens had opened their eyes. Regarding such a phenomenon, it was indeed like the heavens had opened their eyes. Of course, this wasn't because the heavens had opened their eyes. It was because Yihua felt that it was about time for him to appear. After all, if he appeared at the start, he definitely wouldn't achieve such an effect. He had to give people hope when they were in despair. This way, they would be able to worship him endlessly. Don't ask why. If you watch Calabash Brothers saving your grandfather for a few years, you will also understand this logic. A ray of golden light shot out from the sky and landed on the ground. Yihua and his subordinates appeared for the first time in Kangluo continent. Although there weren't many spectators, and they weren't very strong, it could be said that they had taken the first step. The people on the city wall all saw the 20+ people that suddenly appeared. There were men, women, and even children. Everyone was very puzzled. Just who are these people? No matter who they are, to be able to descend from the sky, they are definitely not ordinary people. They might be some powerful sects that knew that the people here were living in an abyss of suffering, and sent their proud disciples to come and save them. I heard that the disciples of those sects all fly around in the sky, and in the blink of an eye, they can jump tens of thousands of feet. Right now, the witch was also sizing up Yihua and the others. This group of people looks very ordinary, and I can't feel any fluctuation of Do Qi from them. However, why is there no fluctuation of Do Qi when they descend from the sky? This is very strange. Who are you people? How dare you ruin my plans? Miko-sama shouted, looking very vigilant. Yihua ignored the witch and said faintly, "Soul separation, let these monsters recover." Yes. Soul Drifting raised a hand, and a pink mist enshrouded all of the monsters. The eyes of these monsters gradually focused on Kuroto. It was obvious that they were under Miko's control just now. The monster that had regained its sanity looked a little huge. It looked around curiously, wondering what it was doing. Yihua saw that there were even undead among these monsters. Thinking back, I was also like this back then. If I didn't work hard, I would have ended up becoming someone else's tool, and I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I have today. As an undead, how could he resign himself to fate? If he did not work hard, he would not know how great his achievements would be. Miko-sama watched Soul Drifting lift her control with a flick of his hand, causing her heart to sink. From this move, it could be seen that this woman's strength was on par with his. If these people were all that strong, wouldn't he be in trouble today? What if they were bluffing? Just to trick me away? I'm a level 1 doja. Who the hell are you people? The witch revealed her strength, seemingly wanting to use this method to scare them away. In Kangluo continent, there was a division of strength. Doja, Do-Shi, Do-Shi, Do-Wang, Do-Huang, Do-Zong, Do-Di, Do-Zun, and Tian-Zun. Of course, there were also talented and intelligent people who were able to reach Heaven's Law. During the promotion to a doja, every sect would unearth a Heaven's Law expert to become a Heaven's Law doja. Heaven's Law doja and ordinary doja were worlds apart. Heaven's Law doja were invincible in the same rank, and they were even able to fight against those of a higher rank. As long as one became a Heaven's Law doja, one would definitely become popular in the entire Kangluo continent. After all, there were a lot of sects that were willing to provide resources to Heaven's Law doja. All in all, Heaven's Law Expert was a hot commodity in Kangluo continent. The number of Heaven's Law Experts that died in Yihua's hands was not small. However, Heaven's Law Overlord, Yihua had yet to meet someone of this rank. Because to be able to cultivate to Heaven's Law Overlord, not only did one need time, one also needed too many items. Just like playing a game, the amount of experience needed to level up a Heaven's Law Overlord was 100 times more than that of an ordinary Heaven's Law Overlord. Furthermore, a lot of materials were required to level up a Heaven's Law Overlord, and one must know that the number of Heaven's Law Overlords was very few to begin with. Thus, in Kangluo continent, there had never been a Heaven's Law Overlord, let alone a Heaven's Law Overlord. Meanwhile, Yihua's 4 children were definitely Heaven's Law experts. According to the division of strength, Ali at the very least had the strength of a Heaven's Law Dozong, while Yi Yan, God Yi, and Yi Lu should have the strength of a Heaven's Law Emperor. They did not need any items to level up, and as they grew older, their strength would grow as well. This was the benefit of being the child of an overlord. Thus, a child like Ali had long won at the starting line, the kind that was unreasonable. However, this which was just an ordinary doujia. Without the powerful resources of a sect, it was already not bad for her to be able to cultivate to the level of a doujia. However, this kind of cultivation was very evil, and it was fated to be a dead end. Yihua took a casual look at the witch. Doujia? She sure is small. Who am I? Humph. I am someone that you cannot afford to offend. Right now, Yihua did not refer to himself as the Supreme Overlord. Haha. Arrogant child, I see that your looks are not bad, and you are very suitable to be my medicine catalyst. Also you men. The witch looked at Yihua and the others. While I don't have any thoughts towards women, I have a lot of thoughts towards men. Alright, I will gift one to you then, Sky Red. I will leave this to you. Yihua said faintly. There was only one reason why Yihua called Sky Red out, and that was because there were some things that couldn't be held back and needed to be vented out. This which just so happened to be a woman that liked to tease men, and thus, Sky Red was the perfect target for Sky Red to take revenge on. I am not saying that Yihua likes to tease men. I am just feeling that Sky Red needs to vent out her anger. Yes. Sky Red replied gravely, then walked out of the group. The 2 meters tall Sky Red looked just like a small mountain, especially the explosive muscles on his body. For women that liked muscular men, Sky Red's body was practically a fatal injury. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.